There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go, show recap prediction sports
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go.
What is going on, everybody? It's the EVP from the EVP Show, and we are live with your Raw Recap. It's Monday, July 6, 2026, and I have a unexpected guest. Obviously, he was with us for the last Raw Recap. I will be joining him Wednesday on Queens of WWE. He is Kyle the Man Anthony. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Yeah, it's man, this Raw was insane. Not really something I expected, but it happened and really was a good show overall tonight, luckily. So it was a good show. So looking forward to talk about it with you.
Yeah. So before we get started, we'll kind of dissect it a little bit like we did last Monday. So the shows have been really bad, honestly, up until maybe this week. We got a comment from Rain. What's up, brother? So out of a 1 to 10, 10 being the best, like where would you rank it? From start to finish, or did you get a better feeling towards the show than you did last week?
Yeah, to be fair, I don't really fully remember last week too much anymore. I do remember, wasn't that good? I remember that, but I think the only thing from last week I enjoyed from last week was the face-off between Reigns and Rollins. That was really it that stood out to me. But I feel like tonight there was a lot that happened tonight that was like kind of slightly unexpected, but a good unexpected. And what they announced for next week is going to be even better too. So I feel like tonight and next week are filling up to be really good shows, and they're just hyping up, or getting really prepared for SummerSlam. They don't even care about Saturday Night's Main Event. They're just really prepared for SummerSlam. And so I feel like tonight kind of was a good first step, and I feel like next week will be that same scenario as well, being a good show based on what they announced next week.
Yeah, obviously we got the gauntlet match next week. Me and you kind of talked off the camera on the direction for Chad Gable. For me, it seemed like it's got to be Chad Gable and Penta for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam next week. Some interesting stuff happened tonight. We'll dive into it. Obviously, I'm sure we'll talk more about it as well Wednesday when it comes to Maxine. I'm actually loving it. It's kind of the living Dom all over again.
It's refreshing, and it's refreshing to see her in this. I'm glad to see this than what she was doing before with Africa. I did not care for that at all. I was like, okay, well,
now. So we'll get to that segment, but first thing, like for me, like my first take from, obviously I've been saying that to you on the phone and in my channel and everything for a while that she's going to end up with the Vision. I mean, everybody could see it. But my first take is Paul Heyman's really kind of making, I didn't really ever think the Vision was breaking up because Bronson Reed's coming back. My first take on that was, now I really feel like the pendulum could swing for that Intercontinental Championship, because Paul Heyman's going to want gold in that stable. So Maxine is going to be a contender for Sol Ruca's title, whether we agree with it, whether we like it. She's a heel now. Because it just seemed like they want to finish up with the Lyra Bailey stuff first. But the main thing I want to talk about before we get into the actual show, you talked about this backstage, is what the hell are they doing with Saturday Night's Main Event, bro? Like, the fuck? Like, this is a Madison Square Garden show. Like, we got 2 matches. We got fucking Danhausen versus JD McDonough with Jalen Brunson in his corner, and Brie Bella and Paige against Fatal Influence, which I am looking forward to seeing Fatal Influence.
Yeah.
But what are we doing? Like, it's the biggest Saturday Night Main that they can do in Madison Square Garden. I mean, what's your
They clearly
thoughts
don't
about it?
care. I mean, like I said, they clearly just don't care. We've seen the last few weeks. They've been hyping up SummerSlam more than Saturday Night's Main Event. We have a lot of matches announced for Saturday for SummerSlam that we see, and they just have only the one match between Fatal Influence against Paige and Brie, which again is a match I'm as well am looking forward to. I would say I'm kind of dicey on Brie Bella's matches lately, so I don't really. She's just will bring down the match to me. I feel like, but yeah. Anyway, it's just I don't know. I feel like again these Saturday Night Main Event shows they need to stop doing. They just don't care. They clearly care about the bigger shows. It's always about the bigger shows. But that way, they going into the Royal Rumble during Saturday's Main Event, waste of time. Should we'll focus on the Rumble. Going into SummerSlam, do a Saturday Night's Main Event. What a waste. Going into think of last year, going into Evolution, do Saturday Night's Main Event beforehand. What a waste of time. And in that same building, they didn't care about Saturday Night's Main Event, but that same building last year, they care about Evolution. So, I mean, it's just it's just a waste of time. I understand they're Madison Square Garden, but they clearly don't care about that because they're not making the card feel anything. They're not feeling it to be interesting. You have Brock Lesnar for SummerSlam, not on that show. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins is at SummerSlam, not Saturday. So it's like I don't know. At that point, just put all the women on that show. I feel like that are not going to be. They're not having incredible matches for SummerSlam. So I feel like they should do that more than just because you just have only one match announced,
right?
And everything else is about. It's like it's just a waste.
Well, here's my thing, and then we'll kind of jump into the show because we don't want it to. We don't want to go too. We don't want to. I mean, it's a lot to talk about tonight. So my only thing, Kyle, is and I agree with you 100%. But hold on, we have a comment. Raymond, he gives us Raw a 10. I absolutely agree. So one more question. EVP, can you confirm Nick Aldis versus Gunther is happening? Could Gunther retiring him be the main event? I can confirm that Aldis and Gunther is happening. I can't confirm that. Whether it's a retirement match, I mean, that is his gimmick or it was. So, it's a possibility. Tribal Kingpin, you really got to get in my exclusive channel because a lot of stuff that I put in there come to fruition tonight. Obviously, you were on my show yesterday on Scoop, so good to see you back. I do believe we get Aldis and Gunther at SummerSlam. Could they put Nick Aldis' career on the line? I mean, a lot of people don't know, but Nick Aldis has had a match with Cody Rhodes. He's not just some joke. He's well in shape, and he used to be able to go in the indies. So he's not just a knockover in the ring. So I'm looking forward to that. It could be a retirement match. I haven't heard anything, but I do believe we're getting Aldis and Gunther at SummerSlam. Kyle, you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know. Like I said before about Aldis and Gunther, I feel like this is a repeat of when Gunther faced Pat McAfee last year to me, and that's pretty much what it is to me. I don't really, I never saw Nick Aldis as a wrestler. I never really, the only time I really knew about him really is that he was married to Mickie James, and I just saw like only a few pictures of him. So really, I didn't really know anything about Nick Aldis at all until he recently became the general manager of SmackDown. That really was my first time really seeing him really because when I saw him, I was like, who is this guy? And then I kind of looked him up and said, oh, he's Mickie James' husband. I was like, okay. And when he looks slightly familiar because I knew I saw him before, but I didn't know if I couldn't place where. So to me, I don't know him as a wrestler, but I mean, look, I don't know. People are high on him. I keep hearing Solomon keep on praising Nick Aldis as a wrestler. I want to see him back in the ring. So I mean, if we'll see how he is at SummerSlam. If he faces Gunther, if that is the plan to do. So we'll see. I'm not really. I don't really have any feelings anyway about it. I'll just have to wait and see how he does in the ring. Because I'm seeing him actually wrestle. So
yeah, I mean it's gonna happen. I just don't know if they're gonna push it up to Saturday night main event. Like I said, before, good to see you, Tribal Kingpin. Thank you for the question, but that's just really the main problem I have is, just for our example, like we have a prediction show coming up a week from this Wednesday, and we have 2 fucking matches. So
yeah,
I got a full panel. For
not a good for prediction show. They only have 2 matches announced, and it's like,
I mean, we're gonna be done in like 10 minutes at the end of the day. Like, I don't know. Hopefully, we still got SmackDown. We got a SmackDown and a Raw before the prediction show. So hopefully, you guys, hopefully WWE can, because we don't have a main event. Danhausen and fucking JD McDonough is not the main event. It's just no
I hope not.
We'll see what happens Friday. I believe we're headed for a triple threat. I really think we're probably going to get something with Sammy, Cody, and Gunther again. If Cody's cleared, #1 contenders match. Carlos talked about it in another chat. I believe that is a possibility to set up Punk's opponent for. They could do that and make that the main event. And set up Punk's opponent for SummerSlam. Raymond says, I'm just ready for Cody Punk at SummerSlam. I feel like match is going to cook and be entertaining as well, too, honestly. And when Cody wins his title back, then I'll be happy. Yeah, I think Cody got to turn heel. Punk he got a massive pop tonight. So I'm riding on that. I still believe me and Kyle will talk about that towards the end. I still think that's a match. I don't think any other match with Punk makes any fucking sense as a night 1 main event. I mean, him and Sammy was a good match, but you can't run that shit back and be a SummerSlam night 1 main event. So here, that's my thoughts. But yeah, thanks for the question. All right, so we're gonna get into it. It's the Raw Recap, July 6, 2026. Kyle, it was from the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois. We were supposed to see the Undisputed WWE Champion Sami Zayn defend his title against American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Plus, it's a triple. So we're getting 3 title matches. WWE World Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, who just won the titles at Night of Champions, will defend their titles against The Vision, Braun Breaker, and The Pressure is his nickname, Austin Theory. And then obviously Sol Ruca defending against Raquel Rodriguez. Also, we're gonna hear,
what is that?
I don't know. That's just what they call him, bro. They call him The Pressure. So I'm just going by what they said, The Pressure. Sol Ruca versus Judgment Day. Judgment Day, Big Mommy Cool, Raquel Rodriguez. We'll hear from the 2026 WWE King of the Ring winner, Femi. I love this promo. Seth Rollins kicked off the show. Show up now with a video package looking at how Sami Zayn won the Undisputed Championship. We don't really have to touch on that. We spent a lot of time on that at Night Champions. Michael Cole and Corey Graves welcome us to Raw, and we see the pre-show arrivals of Femi, the Judgment Day, the Street Profits, and the Undisputed Champion Sami Zayn, who's greeted by everybody in the back. We then see Undisputed WWE Champion Sami Zayn run into Cody Rhodes. So Cody was, but we're going to talk about this for a second once I read this, but Sammy tells Cody that he is walking out of Chicago as still the Undisputed Champion. But Cody tells Sammy that, well, basically Sammy comes up to him and says, I know that you're the golden boy and you think, you're just going to take your title back tonight, but I'm leaving Chicago. When ultimately Cody was coming up to tell him good luck, basically what he said. And then when he pissed him off, and he was like, oh, I'm going to take your fucking title. Cody wishes Sammy good luck and says Sammy is right about how things are going to happen tonight. And then out of nowhere, and we got to talk about this. This is the only thing about this I did not like. Gunther attacks Cody Rhodes, which Gunther's 0-4 against Cody. I don't fucking understand it. And power bombs him through a table. Gunther then tells Sami Zayn that Cody is not his problem anymore. Gunther then says, you never should have to won. You never should have won that title. Gunther then says, "I will come for you." Gunther then sends Cody Rhodes into Sami Zayn's car. Cody Rhodes is then shown bleeding from his ear, so he is busted open again. Let's touch on this, and I'm gonna let you go first. Good opening segment, but terrible way to take Cody Rhodes out. I'm gonna let you talk about it, and then I'll give my take. But I was not a fan of. Tell me what you thought about that opening segment and the way they took Cody out, and where do you think they're going with Cody, Sami, and Gunther at this point?
I don't know. I feel like I said this before about Gunther. I feel like he's just a third wheel. It's not really about him. It's never really been about him at all. I'm not gonna say I feel bad because I'm not a Gunther fan, but I watched this and I'm like, it was never really about Gunther. It was always about Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, and that was the main story they were telling for weeks. And so we kind of figured that having Gunther there to attack Cody because he's either jealous or just upset that he's not getting the shot or something or whatever. It's like you had your shot and you lost, so you just have to learn to accept that. But I mean, I guess I understand why they did it and want to have it out. But then I assumed that was the point of having. Well, I guess it did happen that for them to have CM Punk there, which I think that was stupid because if that was their plan, I would say at least they could have done it a little bit differently. They still could have done the match. You could have had Cody come out with a bum's shoulder, but he was, he's still that fighting baby face that he's been doing of have we forgotten that he came with a torn pec at Hell in a Cell 2022 against Seth Rollins, and he did the match, and it was like 30 minutes. So it's like, why was this any different? I feel like that's just such a stupid thing. He was storyline hurt, and yet he had a full length pec injury and had a 30-minute Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. So I don't really understand why they could have done a match, but whatever. I guess I'm speaking logic here. I'm thinking logic, and I can't speak logic in WWE's fantasy land. But I mean, I get what they were doing, but again, they could have done it very differently. They could have, since Punk's going to be on SmackDown anyway, they should have just said the segment, have him done a face-off. That would have been, still would have been more impactful to do a face-off after the match when the show was over with, and then we could say, well, what's going to happen? Just going to happen on SmackDown. We're going to watch SmackDown to see what happens after because of this. I mean, this is one example of from every single thing that happened. And we'll talk about Seth Rollins later, but it's similar to the Seth Rollins Roman Reigns thing. I'm going to bring that up later too, and all that stuff that they could have done it a very different way to build up the match between Sami Zayn and CM Punk for SmackDown to do it here, but they chose not to. I feel like, I guess some ways, I can understand because they were probably a WWE Championship match tonight, which I think that was also stupid to do when when two of your wrestlers are from SmackDown and he's announced this match out of nowhere just because. Again, I just felt like the timing and the timing was just completely just stupid. Everything about this was completely unnecessary in this circumstance. I don't mind what happened, but I just think I just wish it was just not because of where they are. They tend to do that, and I don't like that because it's like I wish it could just be a random Raw in a random city that doesn't have to be someone's hometown every single time. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, you said some really good points. Cody wrestled with the torn pec at Hell in a Cell, for 34 minutes was to be exact against Seth Rollins. What I really want to say about this, Kyle, is Triple H really does pay attention to the internet, and you can really tell once we start talking about Oba and Seth. You can really fucking tell at the end of the day, because WWE social media team and creative and all that, they know that majority of the IWC, not the fans that are paying money to go to the show, would have lost their shit if Cody Rhodes won the title tonight. And I wasn't, obviously I'm a Cody guy, but if he won the title, great. I didn't want him to get pinned again by Sammy. I think that would have been terrible. So my biggest problem is two things. Number one, why the fuck did they have a number one or three things? Number one, why did they have a number one contenders match with Cody and Jay? Number two, why is Gunther taking Cody Rhodes out? He's 0-4 against him. He can't beat him. So what the fuck is he still what's he still doing in the story? You're right. You're exactly right. This story is based around Cody and Sammy, and Gunther is the third leg, and he's got other shit going on with Aldous. And number three, and most importantly, is this is the second time in a matter of 10 days that the undisputed champ. Think about this, Kyle. The undisputed title has changed hands twice in 10 days because of where the fucking location was. Sammy won the title because they were in Saudi Arabia. That's where he's loved. Punk wins in fucking Chicago. So why?
I don't know. It also reminds me that not even that long ago that Drew McIntyre won a championship earlier this year. And it's like this title, people are changing hands almost every other month, almost feels like to me. It's like, come on, dude. It's like, I understand that Reigns as world heavyweight champion isn't great because he's not around, but at least he has been around since he won the title at WrestleMania. He's going to show up next week. So it's like, I mean, at least now he's around, but he's not defending the championship every other week. It's always on pay-per-view, and he already just retains every single time mostly. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know why the WWE Championship is any different. I don't know why they decided to play hot potato with this championship. Like they shouldn't treat the WWE Championship like it's the IC title where anyone can win the championship by any other any other month. That's what they've been doing with this championship for months, going all the way back from January.
Yeah, it really looks to me like it's gonna be the summer of Punk and Cody, and maybe Randy, and maybe if Kevin Owens comes back, I'm sure Sammy's gonna still be in the mix. But I wouldn't be surprised if that title's not hopscotched around SmackDown almost the entire summer. I don't see a possibility. I seen somebody on Twitter say, "Oh, Punk's holding it all the way to WrestleMania." Well, I can tell you right now that he ain't. That's
sense. No.
That's fucking that people just, I don't know where they come up with their shit, but that ain't happening, man. Like, I don't know.
The guy's 40 what years old right now? He's like in his 40s. He was spent in like, I mean, how long did he expect him to be? You expect him to be the champ? You expect him doing what he did 2012, be champion for a whole calendar year?
Yeah, I mean,
for 434 days, please.
That title is gonna switch hands probably 4 or 5, 6 more times before WrestleMania. So, ultimately, ultimately, final prediction: where are they going? Where do you think they're going with this storyline? Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to the main event. But where do you think there's some sort of, maybe it's not a triple threat? Maybe they run Cody and Sammy at Saturday night's main event. Winner gets Punk at SummerSlam. What? Triple threat, hopefully not.
I didn't really think about that. I thought they would just do a random, just a standard. Well, actually, first of all, I thought that they were going to do a standard singles match between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. But then I think about it, it's like, what sense does that make when he was alluding to wanting the championship opportunity will fall from the sky? And there were some people who that assumed that he was going to win Money in the Bank. I didn't put that in my mind at first when he first said that. I was like, fall from the sky. What are you talking about? I didn't really know what he meant by that until I hear people say it. He could probably win Money in the Bank. I said, oh well, I don't want to see that. I want to see someone new win that briefcase. And so then I was like, okay, well then what? Then I guess it meant this. I guess he meant this situation. I don't know. Again, I just felt like it. I don't know. I'm just kind of confused and kind of dumbfounded of why they put the title on Sammy in the first place. That they never intended for Sammy to be the champion for at least a month at least. You know, but you just gave him a whole week or like 2 weeks for him being champion, and that's it. Like again, a waste of time. Like, I don't know.
9-day title reign for Sami Zayn. I don't think he's disappearing. I think
I don't think he's gonna disappear. I don't think he's gonna disappear. But I just think it's just you have him change his character. That was the whole. They were building up with Sammy's character for months of him being the real good guy. You see him so many times talking to a unconscious Johnny Gargano backstage for weeks, and then to lead to this moment to him to win the championship, and then for him to just drop it a whole week, weeks later or a week later. I don't know. To a guy who hasn't been seen on TV since the night after WrestleMania. That's also what's also annoying.
He hasn't had a match since WrestleMania. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, come on, dude. Like, are you serious? And people are okay with this for a guy who didn't. I don't know. I get that he's a babyface and he's super popular, but again, man, I don't know, because if I was in that building, honestly, I would be just not really saying anything. I don't know.
I think it's the backlash, honestly, Kyle. I think that they were so worried about the backlash of putting the title right back on Cody Rhodes 9 days later, and Cody probably doesn't want to read that shit all over the internet. He's on Twitter all the time. I mean, ultimately, it does seem like it was a pivot. Like I said, I got a call this morning where there was a couple of different options that they could go with. This was obviously one of them. They were gonna have maybe Punk cost Cody or Randy, or something like that. Randy was rumored to be backstage as well. So I don't know where they're going with this, but I know Punk and Sammy can't be the main event of SummerSlam. Nobody wants to see it. We just saw it. It was a decent match, but I don't want to see it again.
Not a pay-per-view worthy main event. It was like decent enough. It wasn't like, oh my god, a pay-per-view. So.
But yeah, we'll go ahead and move past that because I'm sure we'll get to it at the end. But so after that, after Cody gets taken out, they're like, oh, what are they gonna do? Is Cody gonna be able to compete? Stupid ass shit they do when Vince was in charge. So we get Seth Rollins comes out, his music hits. Crowd goes crazy. He says, welcome everyone to Monday Night Rollins. Reminds the fans who and what he is. Seth Rollins says he loves this building in Chicago. The WWE Universe then erupt with CM Punk chants. Rollins tells the WWE Universe to go ahead and get it out of their system. I don't know if that's going to mean anything. Hope to God not, but we've seen enough of that. We've seen enough of Punk and Rollins. Rollins then says he couldn't care less about Punk, so he did bring up Punk. Oh, fuck. Here we go. Rollins then says his business is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Rollins then says his business is to own Roman Reigns and beating him at SummerSlam. Rollins then says Roman Reigns is not here tonight. Rollins says he thinks the check wasn't big enough. He said he thinks the check wasn't big enough for Roman to show up in Chicago. That's funny as fuck. Seth then calls Roman Reigns a chosen one. Seth then says that Seth recalls the time the Shield debuted in WWE and says Roman was always the chosen one. Rollins and says it didn't matter if Reigns couldn't cut a promo. It was always going to be him. Seth then says that didn't sit right with him. Rollins then looks at a kid in the crowd and says he was that boy. Rollins then says he sat in these stands and all he ever wanted to do his entire life is to walk down this ramp and get inside the ring and main event WrestleMania. Rollins then said he wanted to be the biggest star in the company. Rollins said he watched those dreams be handed off to someone else. Rollins then says it broke something inside of him. So, Rollins then says he doesn't think Roman Reigns deserved it. Rollins says he broke up the Shield to catch up to Roman. Rollins then says he cashed in on Roman Reigns to stay close to him. Rollins says he admits that he sounds petty, but he believed he and Roman were running the same race. Rollins then said Roman Reigns worked 10 times less than he did and made 10 times more than he did. Seth Rollins says that made him want to puke. Seth then says it was never about money. Seth says the reward for him was work, hustle, and the grind. Seth said Roman Reigns needs to beat him and prove that he is not a fraud. Seth Rollins says he needs to beat Reigns just as much because he needs to prove to himself that through hard work and sacrifice, he can still achieve greatness. So, before we get into that, I get your thoughts on that. Seth was then interrupted by LA Knight. LA Knight makes his way down. LA Knight says there was no way he was going to sit back there and listen to this shit again. LA then says Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins bored everybody to sleep last week. LA Knight then says all Rollins had to do was talk about his greatness to get a title shot. LA Knight then says Seth Rollins lost in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. LA Knight then says he admits he lost in the first round too, but he didn't come out to stake claim on the World Heavyweight Championship for the nostalgia stake. LA Knight then calls Seth Rollins an Iron Man. LA Knight then says he knows he doesn't have much time left and he's never going to get as many opportunities as Rollins. LA Knight then reminds Rollins of his arrival in WWE. LA Knight then says he got cut off by the bloodline and the numbers with Roman Reigns. LA Knight then says he got cut off by the Vision. LA Knight says Seth Rollins is great at manipulating people. LA Knight says Rollins can't stop him because he must rise. Rollins then asks Knight if he's done. So Seth then says he admits he doesn't like LA Knight, but he respects him. Seth says LA Knight is everything he just described. Seth then says he believes LA Knight's time will come, but right now he cannot worry about him because he has to go to SummerSlam and get back the title he never lost. Seth Rollins then says LA Knight. Oh shit! Here we go. My stupid ass phone. Sorry about that. It does this like when I'm going through a long ass promo. We're right back at it. Okay, so then sorry about that. So then Rollins says that his time will come. He says he's getting a title back at SummerSlam. He never lost. And he says Knight can be the first person to step up when he wins the title. LA Knight then watches Seth Rollins go to the back. And as he turns around, Jimmy Uso hits him with a super kick. And that was the end of the segment. Oh, that was a lot to unpack there. Seth Rollins' promo and then LA Knight on top of it. Your thoughts on Seth's promo and everything that LA Knight come out to say. And then obviously more or something else with LA Knight and the Bloodline, which we talked about it Sunday, or I believe it was Sunday. It was maybe after the Night of Champions, where I really believe we're probably getting some sort of tag team match at SummerSlam with LA Knight and maybe Solo, or LA Knight and Royce Keys or something like that against the Usos. That's probably the direction they're going. Your thoughts on the Seth Rollins promo and what LA Knight had to say and Jimmy super kicking him?
Well, I like what Seth had to say more about Reigns, about him being, never be able to defeat him and all this stuff. So I enjoyed that. I think it was pretty interesting hearing the crowd reaction being like super like wanting to want to see Reigns and Rollins saying, "No, I'm sorry, he's not here." No, he's like, once again, he's not here. I'd like to see it'd be cool for the champion to be on Raw every single week, but of course we don't get to get that, all that stuff. So I enjoyed the banter. Really not really the banter, but just him mentioning that, and then him on just looking in the camera saying that, just really saying that Reigns, you can't beat me. You never or was able to. All this stuff, I enjoyed that. The LA Knight factor to me is like it was so unnecessary. I felt like while I was watching this, I was like, okay, we're rinse and repeat with LA Knight and the Bloodline stuff. Can we just stop? It's not about him anymore, really. I mean, he had his chance. He lost to Roman Reigns. He had his chance with, and not only that, he keeps on feuding with the Bloodline. It's all he's going to be known for when his career is over with. Is feuding with the Bloodline, whoever it is, whether that's Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso. Every single time, that's what he's known for. Been there, done that. And I don't really don't care about that, really. And it's like, I don't know where it's leading to. Are they just doing a match next week between LA Knight and Jimmy Uso? Who knows? Probably, but it's like, who cares? But I'm looking forward to seeing what Reigns does next week and their next face off next week more. And that's going to be really. I'm looking forward to that. I enjoy what Raw's had to say, but it'll be nice when they're both in the same ring together to go face to face, since they have a freaking championship match at SummerSlam. So I'm looking forward to seeing that a little bit more, so the banter can feel more hype, so that it's going to be the main event for night 2 for SummerSlam. So let's get them. Let's get the hype for it, and more face to face situations between Reigns and Rollins headed into SummerSlam. So I enjoyed Rollins' promo as a whole. The LA Knight thing was a waste of time for me and was completely unnecessary. It could have happened somewhere else, not in the first segment.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to WrestleMania with Punk and Roman. The first couple of weeks, the promos were just fantastic. But I was listening to a podcast, I believe it was JD. He was talking about how it just kind of fizzled out because they made that match so early. I like a lot of stuff Seth Rollins said, about, he's done just as much work, but not made, half the money. Basically called Roman a fraud and all this. And, Roman's the chosen one, kind of like the golden boy in a way. But I think it was a great start. The only concern I have is we're still, 4 weeks out or so, less than 4 weeks out from SummerSlam. We don't want them to drop their whole artillery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they did with Punk. Like they announced Punk and Roman way too early, and by the time we got to WrestleMania, for me that storyline was kind of out of gas. And I think with Roman not being on TV every week, he's gonna probably be every other week up until SummerSlam. I don't see Roman on the card of Saturday Night's Main Event. So, it was a great promo by Seth. I enjoyed it. LA Knight, I don't know what the hell he's doing. It's probably something to give him some TV time. We know he's going to be involved in the Bloodline Vortex. He ain't winning a world title.
But remember, CJ, people on the internet are saying LA Knight's going to be champion, so we got to keep the faith. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, they did put the title on Sammy, so yeah, I'm not going to never say never anymore.
That's true. Yeah, but I don't know. It feels like it's just, but Sammy's in a different circumstance. We've seen Sammy for years. LA Knight's been super recent in terms of when we saw him, really. So it's not really the same, really, to how I feel and people feel about Sammy compared to LA Knight. I'm not a fan of either, but I've seen Sammy's rise, even though I didn't really see him on NXT too much when he came up to face John Cena in 2015. That was my first introduction to Sami Zayn, and LA Knight was just like a little like too little, too late, almost.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
The only thing that I don't really like is about the LA Knight situation is I believe this is the third time that he's faced Jimmy Uso. And like
Is it?
3 weeks.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they faced each other so many times. I don't even know.
Well, I mean, I think it's been 3 weeks in a fucking row. Like that's just that's overkill. And creative needs to if their chat GPT needs upgrading.
Really?
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row? Man,
Yeah.
I don't even. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Triple H needs to pay the bill on chat GPT and go ahead and upgrade and try to come up with something else for LA Knight. But I don't think he's winning the title. But great start to the feud with Roman and Seth. I look forward to seeing what Roman's counter next week. And I think it'll be good. I think they just can't drop all their bullets. So then we go to
nice that they haven't touched yet too. I also like that too, that they haven't been physical. So I kind of been liking that they just been going back and forth. I mean, it was their first time talking to each other. So I'm sure at some point they will fight, have a brawl. It'd be cool if they don't. I don't know. I'll see if they. I'm gonna see if they're gonna not able if they won't touch each other for a while or head all the way headed into SummerSlam. I doubt it, but I mean, I kind of like the back and forth, like on the mic of the fact that Rollins keeps saying that you can never beat me, stuff like that. I'm sure at some point they will. Reigns is going to attack him at some point. So I may be saying this a little too premature about them not ever fighting with each other, but at least for right now, I'm quite glad they haven't gone physical yet. But I'm sure that's going to come.
Oh yeah, I mean, Reigns and Punk that they didn't get physical for the first couple of weeks, but then right at the end, right before Mania, they did. But I don't think they really have to. This story has 15 years. They don't like Solid Monster said. I watched his show the other night, and he just said they don't really have to overdo it. Like the story's there, all they have to do is just let it just take its course. And I do agree with everything that he said. So I'm looking forward to seeing Roman's counter next week on Raw. He will be there on Raw next week. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment. We see Adam Pearce in the back, and he tells Gunther his meeting with Nick Aldis is now off. Apparently, he had a meeting with Adam Pearce had a meeting with Gunther. I don't know what the hell that was about. So I don't know. Gunther then says Aldis was a failure as a wrestler, and now he is a failure as an authority figure. Well, there you go. They're setting up Aldis and Gunther. Aldis and Pearce then argue over him stealing the SmackDown main event for Raw. Nick Aldis then says Adam Pearce is doing a crappy job because Cody Rhodes got attacked, and that falls on you. And that is Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce. Could we see? So what the fuck? Are the GMs gonna have a match? Like, are we gonna have Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis for control?
I hope not. I hope not. Don't put that out there, man. I hope not. That sounds terrible. I really hope not.
That's the story.
I hope not. I really hope not. I mean, they've been going back and forth for majority of the time they've been seen with each other to be going back and forth about healthy competition, all this stuff. I didn't equal that to them having a match with each other. I mean, look, I don't want to see Nick Aldis in the ring at all if he's not, it's completely unnecessary just do a one-off with Gunther. I feel like that's just I know that SummerSlam is for 2 nights, but I feel like you are having this match replace it with a match that really could happen at SummerSlam, but you have this match instead of taking that place of it. So that's the part I don't really care for, but it is what it is. I hate when they do matches like this on these big shows because, like, okay, can we just get some great matches instead of one or 2 matches that leads to a celebrity appearance type of thing? But that's what they do. Which, I mean, look, for all I know, Nick Aldis can end up being good against Gunther at SummerSlam, but I'm just not. I don't know. I watch this. I'm like, okay. Gunther defeated John Cena. He he defeated AJ Styles and all this stuff, and then been, this is what they have him do. Headed into SummerSlam, and he's had a crappy year since the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. What did he do at WrestleMania? I don't even remember. So was he at WrestleMania? I don't even.
He beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
Oh right, yeah, that's what happened, and that led nowhere because Rollins was a championship match. And what's Gunther doing? And he defeated Rollins. I forgot that match even happened.
Well, like I said, he was Seth was supposed to face Roman, and Cody and Punk was supposed to fight at Mania, but Seth got hurt at the Crown Jewel against Cody, so they had to pivot. Rey Mysterio didn't want Gunther to retire him, so they had to put Gunther and Rollins together because they couldn't leave him off the Mania card. It was a banger-ass match, but Gunther beat Goldberg. He retired Goldberg. He retired John Cena. He retired AJ Styles. He beat Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and then he lost 2 or 3 times to Cody Rhodes. And now he's feuding with the SmackDown general manager, which I'm not taking anything away from Nick Aldis. I've seen him wrestle. I saw him wrestle Cody Rhodes. This is why
he was traded over to SmackDown, because remember, too, he was also traded over to SmackDown. And it was like, this is what they have him do. Okay, whatever. I mean, I don't. Yeah. And people, and I said it so many times about Gunther too. I said that I don't view Gunther as some type of credible person. I felt this way a long time ago, and I've been proven right every single time. People need to start listening to me when I say that too, because I mean, I get gut feelings towards certain wrestlers, and I was like, I don't feel it unless I'm completely wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. I'm not always right about that, I'm sometimes wrong with that, so it's just ultimately it is a prediction, or it's just a feeling that I get. I have been watching wrestling for a long time at this point, so I know what I'm talking about in some ways, but some ways I also am still wrong. I haven't watched wrestling longer than you have, but I still I still know what they plan on doing, and I had a feeling with Gunther for the longest time, like, okay, his run as World Heavyweight Champion did not really matter, because it really wasn't about him. It was about the Judgment Day. It's about Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. He's just there, and it's kind of the same here. When but he was champion. It wasn't about him being the champion. It was about Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, and it's like he's putting himself in this situation. I don't know. It's not really him, but creative is putting him in this situation. Really for no reason, and he defeated John Cena. Why? He's a person that ultimately and the career of John Cena, and not anyone else. There was plenty of other people for Cena to have a final match with. Finn Balor,
John Cena picked John Cena actually.
I think that was a mistake. But I guess how could Cena know about because he decided that Gunther was
creative. Like I said, when he lost so many times to Cody Rhodes, I said, like, at the end of the day, I'm a Cody fan, but I said eventually I felt like Gunther probably needed to take the title off Cody because we needed a fresh batch of paint, but obviously Gunther's not that fresh batch of paint that we needed. They put the title on Sami Zayn for 9 fucking days, and now it's on CM Punk, who hasn't had a match since April, whatever it was, night 2 of WrestleMania, which is about 3 months, Kyle, since he's had a match, and he's the SmackDown champion. So Cody's not gonna like it.
Yeah.
When Cody comes back, he ain't gonna like it. He's, I don't know. I can't see a world where they have the opportunity to do one of the biggest matches they can do at SummerSlam with Cody and Punk. Punk's not going to be around forever, so if they're going to do it, they need to do it now, because you don't ever know who's going to get hurt. Punk is 40, somewhere between 46 and 48 years old. And
the other problem that I have, though, too, as well, they keep putting the world championship on these older guys. At some point, they gotta give these younger people a chance here. They gotta pull the trigger on Oprah Femi. They gotta pull the trigger on some of these people. Braun Breaker. These people are in their 20s. Can we please focus on them now? I understand that Rollins and Reigns are at this point are in the same position that Reigns and Cena and Sheamus were in. I get that. and I grew up with these people. I've seen Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Becky and all these people 2015 when I was 18. I'm now 29, about to be 30 this year. So, I get it. I've seen these people so many times, but there needs to be a situation where there needs to be focused on Braun Breaker, focus even more on Austin Theory, give him more of an opportunity instead of treating him like a lapdog. I don't know. I feel like they need to really focus heavily. I feel like they do more work with the women of building them up more than the men. It's they don't care about the men. Clearly, they only care about the women, the new women from NXT. They don't really care about the men right now. It's like kind of it's just very interesting and jarring and really weird that it's been flipped. It's like before in the past, it's all about the men. The women, they don't care. Now it's all about the women, and the men don't care. Just look at NXT. It's pretty much a women's show on NXT.
That's what it is. Yeah, 100%. The only thing that's gonna suck about NXT tomorrow is like I already know who wins because it's taped. So, but I'm still gonna watch and enjoy it because I want to see Kendall Gray and that. Yeah, well, it's taped. I already know all the winners. So, yeah. So I'm still looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to seeing Kendall and Natty though. So, but we're gonna go ahead and move on. So we see Jackie Redmond with the Vision. This was a pretty interesting part right here. If you really pay attention to the promo. So Paul Heyman walks up to them and he tells Jackie Redmond to leave. Paul Heyman then tells Braun Breaker he doesn't have to worry about the barricade, but he didn't even take out Seth Rollins. The Oracle then tells Austin Theory that he failed to take out Joe Henry. Paul Heyman then tells them to come back tonight with something worthy of their wise man or don't come back to him at all. What did you think?
Now, when I first heard this, I was thinking to myself, well, they're gonna. I was intrigued of what would happen if they were gonna lose. I thought it was gonna be. I was like, she was like, oh, what's gonna happen here? I thought they were gonna have have Theory get taken out or something. That's what I thought coming out. And if they would have lost. And then they would have done something with Maxine like backstage. I never would have thought that was going to happen with Maxine right then and there. I was shocked. So I was kind of expecting a different outcome than what actually happened. So that's what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it did look like they were kind of maybe teasing a split tonight. But the way Paul was talking, I was like, yes, something big is going to happen in this tag match. And we're going to get into the tag match. It was for the WWE World Tag Team Championship match. The Street Profits just won the titles. I believe it was at Night of Champions. Again,
no, it was on Raw.
Oh, okay, it was on Raw. Yeah,
it was on Raw. Yeah.
Yep. So they're defending against Montez Ford and Angelo. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins is defending against the Vision, Braun Breaker, and the Pressure. The Pressure, Austin Theory. So we'll just kind of go midways to the match. Angelo Dawkins hits a shoulder tackle and applies a side headlock. Breaker then runs into a boot. Dawkins and hits a right hand to Theory. Breaker hits a running clothesline. We'll move on closer to the end because we still have a lot to cover. So getting close to the end of the match, Braun Breaker sends Montez Ford over the top rope into the floor. Angelo hits Austin Theory with the double underhook, spinning neck breaker. Logan Paul is out there. He slides the brass knuckles in, but the referee catches him sliding those brass knuckles. Logan Paul then has a second set of brass knuckles, but Angelo Dawkins gets those brass knuckles and knocks out Braun Breaker. Then Montez Ford then flies over the top of the turnbuckle, wiping out Braun Breaker. Angelo Dawkins then gets the brass knuckles, but then I guess she was up under the fucking ring. And she looked phenomenal tonight. Like her husband must be a really, really secure man. I don't know if you know who he is. He's
he's I see him. Yeah, he's from NXT. And
he came from
LFG. Yeah,
he's Cam Hendricks. But Maxine Dupree, she comes up from under the ring. In a black dress, and she hits Angelo Dawkins with a low blow behind the referee's back.
She looked hot, man.
She looked really good. And Austin Theory gets the pinfall for the 1, 2, 3. the winners in their new WWE World Tag Team Champions division, Braun Breaker and Austin Theory. But before we get into this, after the match, we see Braun Breaker, Austin Theory, and Logan Paul standing there. Maxine is kind of about 10, 15 feet away. She runs all the way over and wraps her legs around Austin Theory, and she lays a big kiss on Austin. She did not have her wedding ring on either, but they're still married. And she celebrates with the Vision. The Vision have gold once again. So your thoughts on the Vision winning? Maxine coming out from under the ring. She looked phenomenal. I think this is. I've been saying, like, if they're gonna do it, because there's nothing else for her to do. I think the Alpha Academy is kind of died out. I love what they did with Maxine, and I think now that she's a Paul Heyman girl, like, she's gonna get some gold. So I think she gets that Intercontinental title back at some point. So your thoughts on the tag title change? You and Greg were talking about earlier about, what was next for Braun Breaker. Well, I didn't expect the title change tonight either, but here we are. I mean, they gotta have something for them to do at SummerSlam. So, your thoughts on the match? Your thoughts on the match and the Maxine Dupree stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this earlier about, for Braun Breaker, what's next for him after his loss with to Seth Rollins, and we'll see where Rollins is going to end up heading into SummerSlam against Reigns. So I was like, what do you do with Braun Breaker? I assumed they were going to just have him. I thought they were going to lose. Breaker was going to lose it and end up being just be a killer and just destroy Austin Theory. And honestly, I would have been surprised if that would have been the SummerSlam match. I mean, would have been a big opportunity for Austin Theory because he hasn't really met anything. So I thought that was kind of one decision. I didn't know if that was the plan, or I didn't know that was going to be the plan or not. But it ended up not being that. So when Maxine came out, I was slightly surprised, but I really shouldn't have. I was surprised, but wasn't, because we've seen for weeks the interactions backstage between Theory and Maxine. I was like, where is this headed? Are you really going to have them be but I also assumed that they were just going to be just a duo themselves, and Theory was going to be broken up from the Vision. I thought it wasn't going to lead to Maxine being part of it. So, I mean, I like it. Something for Maxine to do as a heel, very similar to Lyra, as we'll get into later. It's the same with Lyra with Maxine. She's been really flattering as a babyface for the longest time. With her being in Alpha Academy, I never really cared for Maxine at all. You remember this woman came up with LA Knight when he was Max Dupree. All of that was 2022. So from that to this I'm honestly happy for her. Honestly, I don't know how she, her as a wrestler, I don't want to see, but her like as a valet is I think it's cool. She really looked really great tonight. It was the first time she looked like, she always looks good, for sure. But her being in all black and playing this heel role character, I think it will be really good for her. I think this will definitely be a breakup moment for her as a heel, very similar to Roxanne, but in a different way. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think this is something that she definitely needs. And, maybe at some point, maybe she'll go after the IC championship again, whatever, if Soul is still the champion. And I mean, I don't know we'll see how long Soul will be champion by that time. She'll go after the IC championship, but I don't know. I like it. I'm liking this. I love the pairing. I'm slightly surprised the Vision is still a thing. Because it's completely unnecessary. I feel like, at least to me anyway, I feel like they don't need to be a group anymore. I don't mind Theory and Maxine as a duo. That's fine. But I am just surprised that the Vision is still a thing. But I like it. I'm intrigued where it's going to go, and I think ultimately I could definitely see Maxine winning the IC title again, depending whoever, if so remains champion or what or not. But I do think at some point, whether it happens like later on this year, I can definitely see her winning that title again in this new heel persona. So I'm intrigued where it goes.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I don't know if you were paying attention to the comments. It's just funny. I was thinking about this. You and Greg were talking about the vision and what you guys, you guys were talking about Maxine, and I literally put in the comments. I said, I mean, for me, the best thing for her to be would be to for me. I mean, you can go back and look at the comments from the rundown. I said Maxine needs to be Austin Theory's manager. Obviously, I didn't know that. Like nobody told me that, but I just felt like that was the best role for her, like a ballet type thing. I loved it. For me, it was kind of a lot of people online kind of described it as another Liv and Dom situation. I think they were a little bit more passionate with
But
that
better,
kiss.
I feel like. I think.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
kiss was a
I
that
like
kiss,
Liv and Dominic, but I just felt like Liv was the more important person in the group. And here will be, but mainly
yeah,
Theory. I'd be intrigued. I don't know exactly how Maxine will do yet. It's still, this is just
well,
night one. I have to see how it continues on in the upcoming weeks. But it's similar, but not the same.
well, Paul Heyman, later on, like we'll get to that segment, but Paul Heyman did say, I'm proud of you guys, but I'm the most proud of Maxine Dupree. So
Right.
that lets me know right there that she's in for a push. She's anybody that's associated with Paul Heyman. I don't see them dropping the titles anytime soon now, for sure. Not with Maxine
No.
Dupree involved. But yeah, good segment. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing how they move forward because we'll get Bronson Reed back eventually. That'll make the division stronger. So I think the division's here for a while. I don't know what they do for SummerSlam. I really don't want to see them run it back with the Street Profits again. But I don't know that the tag team division is so fucking stale. But good segment. But we do have a comment from the Tribal Kingpin. He says, since the vision has started, how do you both view each member's growth since before joining? By the end of this run, who do you believe could be the biggest breakout star outside of Braun? Do you want to go first, Kyle?
Well, see, how do I feel? Says how run. How did he grown? I mean, it's kind of hard to say. Bob Breaker definitely expanded. That has definitely grown of being where he's been at from before. I mean, I didn't, even though I enjoyed him as the IC champion in 2 years ago. I think him joining up with Seth Rollins last year, I enjoyed, and then with Bob Breaker, I enjoyed that trio a lot. That was what I really did enjoy. I feel like, though, to me, it's like ever since Rollins was no longer has broken up from the vision. I thought by now Braun Breaker would be World Heavyweight Champion. Because remember when he attacked Rollins, he held up the World Heavyweight Championship. I just assumed he was going to be the World Heavyweight Champion by now, and he's not. And so I thought he was going to be in a whole different scenario by now, and that being the tag team champion again. So in that respect, I kind of wish it kind of went a different direction. But it's cool. I'm intrigued where it's going to end up happening moving forward. But I think ultimately it has been good. But they're continuously winning the tag team championships constantly. And I thought by now Braun Breaker in particular would have been World Heavyweight Champion just based off how they got rid of Seth Rollins and him holding the World Heavyweight Championship. And he did get the opportunity against CM Punk, beginning of back in January. But I thought he would be, in a different position by now, not in the tag team division again. So that's how I look at it. So though it's cool, Breaker in particular should have been in a different position. But also, I know that, Logan Paul's hurt, so they had no choice. So I mean, it is what it is. But I think the division should have been done a while ago anyway. It's on life support. So I mean, so that's just what I thought. I just feel bad for Braun Breaker because I saw more for him by now than him still being with the division at this point.
Yeah, great stuff. For me, Tribal Kingpin, I mean this group has been cursed. Seth Rollins obviously started it with, then we got Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. Then we've seen all the masked hooligans running around for a long time. Ended up being, Austin Theory. And each one of them has gotten hurt in the order that they've joined, which is very fucking weird to me. I don't know. I mean, Seth Rollins is Seth Rollins. Got at the end of the day, like he's definitely the best one that's been in the vision. I agree with Kyle. Braun Breaker's phenomenal. He's a Steiner at the end of the day. But I think he's went down the most out of any of them because he needed. So what hurt Braun Breaker the most is Obafemi coming to Raw because I feel like before Oba showed up, Braun was the guy on Monday Night Raw. So I do feel like that, and now he's secluded to because of Logan's injury. He's secluded to that tag team division, as Kyle spoke about, and which is very non-existent and not important at all. So that's how I feel about him. Austin Theory. If you guys remember, Austin Theory got a big win over John Cena at WrestleMania. Vince McMahon was really high on Austin. He's been okay, but I think that Vince McMahon was more believed in Austin Theory more than Triple H Southern Creative. I think he's
I don't know why all of a sudden he's getting a push now to having him being treated like he's some type of player for some reason of picking up vaccine and all this stuff. Like where did this come from? It's like
that's wild.
Like why these days I can't take him seriously after the way he's been booked for the years and it's supposed to change him. I can't believe vaccine. I said this. I don't know where I said this, or maybe I thought about this. I was surprised Maxine is with this guy after him being a loser for all this time. You have Maxine go after a loser after all this time. Like what sense does that make?
Yeah. So Bronson Reed, he's got a super bright future if he can stay healthy. He's had some big wins. I think he's beaten Seth Rollins. I think he's even beaten Roman Reigns once. So Bronson just got to stay healthy. Logan Paul, there's a lot of people that don't like Logan Paul, but he by far is the most athletic in the whole entire group. He knows how to command heel heat from the crowd. He's just a certified classic heel. So that's kind of my view. The last question, by the end of this run, who do you believe could be the biggest breakout star outside of Braun? Logan Paul. Logan Paul is a future world heavyweight champion. I do believe Bronson's going to be right there with him, but Logan Paul is going to, if he stays with the business, he's going to be the biggest star. Who's your
people assume that he was going to win Money in the Bank. I almost glad he didn't. I'm not a Paul fan. I know I get the appeal. Besides Braun Breaker, I would have said Bronson Reed, but if he was still around, that's what I would have said. Who also would have been, but he's just not there right now, which sucks.
Yeah, one of the two for sure. But thank you for the questions. Tribal Kingpin always asks great questions, so thank you for that. So we move on. Obviously, I'm going to go back and watch that Austin Theory part again because that was just crazy. But we see the doctor checking on Cody Rhodes. He's back there. He's busted open. He says that the doctor tells Cody he needs more tests. Adam Pearson says he cannot let Cody Rhodes wrestle if he cannot be cleared. He then asks if more tests can be done. Cody then says he is fine. He wants to wrestle.
Now, at this point, when he said all that, I thought he was gonna wrestle because you know how stubborn Cody is. He would wrestle it with being injured, and then it would have. I thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad it didn't though because I think
me too. I'm glad it didn't either, but
if he did, then Sammy could have won, and then if people would have been like, oh well, Sammy only beat him because he's hurt, I wouldn't have wanted to have to be the one to like defend. Well, I mean, he fucking got shoved through a fucking car door, and all of that before he even when he first got into the arena. So yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to be the one to explain that. So they did go run more tests on him. Obviously later on the show, they determined that he was going to be unable to compete. It was pretty apparent from the first opening scene when Gunther attacked him that they were trying to make sure that Cody wasn't going to be in that match. So, yeah, but we'll talk more about that in the main event. We see Byron Saxton. He's in the interview area. He brings out Joe Henry. Byron asks about the tag title match. Joe then says there are 3 unfortunate realities. Joe then says death, taxes, and the vision. Doing anything to win. Joe then says he is shocked at what Maxine just did. Byron then asks, when does Joe earn gold? Joe Henry then says he pinned Austin Theory last week. Joe then says he has gotten to Logan Paul. Joe then sings his Logan Paul song again for the 400th time. Joe then says he was a champion everywhere he wrestled. He was. Joe then says he wants the Intercontinental Championship. Joe then says that is not too big of a hill to climb. Joe then says that is not impossible. He says he believes and they believe. Joe then says whoever he has to face, you are facing the entire world chanting that they believe. Any thoughts on the Joe Henry segment? Because he is in that gauntlet match that we'll talk about at the end of the show for the number 1.
So I didn't see this because I don't have a VPN on my Netflix. It's pretty much regular, so I didn't see this. But but just by hearing that and just seeing Hendry throughout the last few weeks on Raw, I keep saying it. This guy is Elias 2.0, where he just comes out and just sings for no reason and leads to nothing. At least here he's not singing for like every single week for like almost 15 minutes that Elias does every single time when he says, "Hello, I am Elias," and just sings and assault the city that they're in every week, and then sing. That takes like 15 minutes or something. That takes forever. At least here it's not like that, but it's still similar. I don't care for it. I think Joe Hendry is more in the entertainment portion of it, and I don't really care for that. He does nothing for me. I know that he's in the gauntlet next week. I almost hope he doesn't win because
he's not winning
because I mean it's just he just does nothing for me at all. As a wrestler, I'm really surprised he got called up when he did. Honestly, or I'm surprised he's even there, but. You know, it is entertainment in WWE itself, so I guess that's a situation there. But he's just not for me, and I just accepted that. So I mean, when he's on TV, I kind of just ignore him at this point because every time he opens his mouth, I don't put the show on mute, but I just do something else and just wait till he's done. And you know, I don't know. But how did you feel? I didn't care for this at all.
I mean, I didn't mind him too much in TNA. Like, I felt like he was really something there. NXT, you know, he was the champion. It did make him relevant. But these fucking concerts every week, like, you're right. Like, he really is Elias 2.0. But at the end of the day, you know, you're right. It is sports entertainment. And that's what TKO likes. So they obviously see something in him. I just don't think they have anything for him to do, Kyle. So they're throwing his ass in a gauntlet match. He ain't winning. We know Chad Gable is probably winning, or I don't know. I'll have to look at the card. I don't remember everybody that's.
I know that Ethan Page is in it. I know that Rusev is in it.
Chad Gable's in it.
I think Dragon Lee's in it.
Yeah, Dragon Lee. I got the list at the end of the show with the matches for next week, but yeah, he's not winning. But I'm glad that they given him. At least they got him involved in a fucking storyline instead of out there singing at the end of the day. So I'm happy about that. But we're going to move on because I really don't have much on Joe Henry. So we see Austin Theory, Brian Breaker, Logan Paul, and the newest member of the Vision, Mrs. Maxine Dupree, celebrating in the back.
I love this. When it came out, I love that. They look cool.
Maxine had her hands all over Austin like he's some sort of like, I don't know, he just stepped out of a Sports Illustrated magazine. Like he's
people probably looking at this and saying, "What's this lucky guy with his?"
I mean, at the end of the day, like I put it in a couple of the chats. I'm like, man, her husband he must really be a really, really, really secure guy. Cause I mean, like she was really like kissing him and making out with him and like As
Right.
she didn't have her wedding ring on, and like I was like, holy shit! But it's
Kind
acting.
of
at the
similar
end
to
of the
with
day.
Morgan because Liv right now is in a relationship, kind of in the same situation. It's like,
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I know.
haven't
I mean, I'm
seen-
not
you
just
haven't
saying. It's just, yeah,
you
I know
haven't
it's
seen
different,
that.
but
When Liv and Dom made out at SummerSlam, Dom was married, but Liv was not dating Landon
I
at the
know.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely got to be you got to be with someone very strong. That's
Yeah.
able to handle that. But we see them
Right.
celebrating. Logan Paul then rambles about how great they are, and they walk up to Paul Heyman. This was another interesting part that me and you I was just talking about. Paul Heyman says that was the first step and only a first step. Paul Heyman says he is being too harsh. Heyman then says at least someone got something accomplished tonight. Austin Theory then thanks Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman then tells Austin Theory he was talking to Maxine.
To Maxine. I was like, oh my God. Man, I was like,
Maxine gets this big, huge smile on her face, but then she starts to console Austin. So I'm telling you right now, Maxine's supposed to get pushed heavily. I love it. I love what they're doing. So then they get into their black SUV. Maxine gets in first. Austin gets in saying, "Yeah, we're the new tag champions." Like they're driving off to party. Who knows what they're doing? And then Otis and Tozawa show up and in the garage, and they are not sure of what they just saw.
They cannot be surprised from this. I mean, honestly, if we're taking this as for a life, they should not be surprised by this after the weeks they did in seeing Maxine's behavior change, all this stuff. I mean, I'm sure they know they want to try to still, say that we're still together, stuff like that. But they should have started signs even during the time when they were in the ring with Chad Gable. I mean, come on. I mean, there's I mean, we but I mean, I thought when I watched this, I was like, I felt slightly bad, but I was kind of slightly laughing too because I was like, dude, you should have saw this coming anyway. So it's your own fault to continue on listening to Maxine when she clearly does not care about you anymore. So I mean,
yeah,
but yeah, I thought it was slightly funny.
I do think that this isn't the last we've seen. The WWE really loves Otis. And speaking of Otis, before we move on to the next segment, I do want to send a special congratulations out to Mandy Rose and her husband Tino. I think that's his name, Tino. She posted on Instagram today or I think she's a few months. She's a little ways down the line, but her and her husband are expecting their first child. So congratulations to Mandy and her husband. That's such a blessing. So I thought that just randomly on just a few hours before Raw. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, so congratulations to them. Yeah, it's always a blessing when that kind of stuff happens because it is a miracle. So we take a look. I love everything about that. I can't wait to see what they do with Maxine next. Like that this is one of this story now. Like the
this is where I'm going to be more invested in Maxine than I've ever been before. So I mean, this is going to be really good for her.
Yeah, this is going to be something that we can really like deep dive in on Wednesdays because, like I said, I think she's going to be a real focal point because Becky Lynch, she talked about Maxine in an interview, I believe, with Stephanie McMahon.
It was Stephanie, yeah, yep.
And Becky said Maxine's the real fucking deal. So for somebody like that, with
we've seen it.
Yeah. Becky said, she's hardworking. She's a sponge. She kind of, takes everything in. And Becky's, in my opinion, the greatest of all time.
Willing to learn.
Willing to learn. I obviously put Charlotte, probably right up under her, but Becky's, for her to say anything like that about Maxine, then I'm excited. I'm excited about anybody that's involved with Paul Heyman is going to be successful, and we've just seen it time and time and time. Paul Heyman is a creative mastermind, so looking forward to that. But let's move on. So we take a look at what happened between Io Sky and Liv Morgan last week. Liv Morgan, as we talked about on the Raw recap last week, She beat Charlotte Flair with that new move, that leg lock.
Half crab.
Yep. Liv Morgan then tells Raquel Rodriguez this is her night, and they have all the momentum. Liv Morgan then says they took care of Io Scott and sent a message to Danhausen. I know you're not gonna like that. Liv Morgan then says they will do everything in their power to make sure that Raquel Rodriguez is the Intercontinental Champion. Raquel then gets right up in the camera and she says she will rip that title from Sol Ruca's waist and she will become the Intercontinental Champion. Before we get to that match, we'll go to a quick little interview segment. Obviously, if you don't have VPN, you probably didn't see it. Jackie Redmond is with Penta. She asked about the #1 contenders match for next week. Penta is then interrupted by Ethan Page and Rusev. Maybe this was on TV. Ethan Page says you will not get to mention. Okay. Ethan Page says you will not get to mention Ray. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's all.
Ethan Page says you will not get to mention Ray's name. Ray is out of the gauntlet and on the shelf, so Ray will not be in it. Dragon Lee then shows up and he says he better not talk that way about Ray. Chad Gable then shows up and Rusev asks if there's a problem. Ethan Page then says we will get to Rusev's job, but he will talk to Pierce about a tag match tonight. Penta then tells them to go out with Sierra Miedo. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the next segment?
I enjoy this. They just hype it up next week, honestly. So I mean, it's a hype for next week's Gauntlet match. So I'm looking for a scene. So I feel like next week's Raw is a lot better on paper than tonight, honestly. So I feel like next week's will be a lot to talk about. And tonight was just a preview for next week, which I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. So then we see Michael Cole on commentary. He says Cody Rhodes has left the arena to go to the hospital. So I want to talk about something for a second. Back when Vince McMahon was in power, I don't know if you know this or not, because obviously I don't tell everybody how old I am, Kyle, but I'm a little older than you. But they were not allowed to say hospital and medical facility and all that kind of shit on air. So. But Triple H don't care about that. But Michael Cole said Cody left the arena to go to the hospital to get some scans to see if he's going to be able to compete. So we get ready for the next match. It is our Women's Intercontinental Champion, which we haven't seen on TV in 2 or 3 weeks. Sol Ruca makes her way down to the ring. She looks phenomenal as always. She's going to be defending the title against Raquel Rodriguez. Obviously, Liv Morgan's out there. We'll go through most of the match. The match starts off both men locking up. Raquel backs Sol into a corner, gives a clean break. They lock up again. Raquel backs Sol into the ropes, gives a clean break, but she misses a clothesline. Sol applies a side headlock and she goes for a side headlock takedown, but Raquel blocks it. Raquel then tries to push Sol off the ropes, but Sol gets a body scissor. Sol hits a slingshot move and she flips on the ropes. Raquel hits Snake Eyes. That's a Diesel move, if you can remember him. Raquel then hits elbows in the corner. Raquel then gets Sol up for a slam, but Sol escapes and sends Raquel into the turnbuckles. Sol then hits a twisted aside moonsault, gets a near fall when they return to the ring. She then has a springboard move, but Raquel goes for a choke slam. Sol lands on her feet. Raquel then hits a clothesline and goes for a pin. Sol kicks out. Raquel chokes Sol in the ropes. We'll get down later on towards the end of the match. So Sol hits several punches, then she hits several uppercuts, and she hits a flying shoulder tackle for a 2 count. Raquel stays on her feet. Sol then misses a splash in the corner, but Sol hits a missile drop kick. Sol then hits a shining wizard for a near fall. Sol then misses a springboard splash, and Raquel hits a clothesline for a near fall. And then out comes Roxanne Perez to the ringside. Sol then escaped the Raquel's finisher, the Tahana Bomb. Roxanne gets up on the apron, distracts the referee. Sol then goes for a Soul Snatcher, but Liv Morgan grabs Sol Ruca off the top rope and just completely diverts that move. Raquel then hits a side slam, but Sol Ruca kicks out at 2. And then out Io Sky's music hits, and Io Sky comes out and hits a crossbody off the ringside barrier to Roxanne Perez and a back heel kick to Liv. Io then hits a side moonsault onto Liv and Roxanne Perez as Raquel charges at her. Sol Ruca then gets Raquel in position and hits a vicious soul snatcher for the 1, 2, 3. The winner and still your women's WWE Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruka. Your thoughts on the match, and where do you think we're going from here?
Yeah, so the match was all right. I enjoyed the near the end with Io coming out to attack Liv. I enjoyed that, getting hyped for their match for SummerSlam. So I enjoyed that. I love that. Seeing for Io to help out Sol to retain, I enjoyed that, and Sol did retain. I was happy about that. After this match is over with, I retweeted this out that the next outcome I really need to see was Sol moving forward, because Sol just has done nothing incredibly interesting since she won that championship. I said before at this point that I've been saying this for weeks, that I think the end goal needs to be Sol Ruka and Lyra Valkyria for the IC championship very soon. We've seen them interact backstage from each other beforehand. So, and now that she's a heel, that needs to be the destination. I don't know exactly when. We'll get into Bayley's Bayley package for tonight because Lyra did it last week and Bayley did it tonight. And they have the match next week, but I don't know exactly how long they're planning on going back and forth with each other. But at some point, Lyra and Sol needs to happen, and I would like it to happen at SummerSlam. So I think that should be the destination, because Sol needs someone to interact with, because there's no one incredibly interesting, I guess, besides Roxanne. I guess I would like to see that as well, but besides Roxanne, there's not really no one else for Sol to face right now for the IC title picture, since everyone is kind of, well, I would say in the world title picture, but Liv has an incredible child. I mean, she now has EL, but it's just been very lackluster in terms of some credible challengers for both Liv and Sol for the championships, for a credible heel and a credible baby face for both Sol and Liv. So I like this potential direction, hopefully for Sol and Lyra potentially. So I'm looking forward to it, but Sol needs some credible challengers, because she's been champion and she hasn't really been seen on TV. This week she's been out, and I don't like that. So they decided to put the title on her. They take the title off of Becky, put it on Sol. I don't. People didn't think it was the right time to have her be champion, but they decided to do it, and this is their punishment of her being champion and not having no credible heel challengers for her to face. I guess they did about Liv about baby faces, but that's how I feel about it. I'm glad that it looks like they're going to set up Sol and Lyra moving forward, hopefully.
Yeah, I love how they did a continuation with setting up the Liv Io match for SummerSlam. Should be a good match. There's a part of me that really feels like that the Judgment Day could end up being the reason why Liv may lose. If she does lose at SummerSlam, that could be the complete split with her and Roxanne, with Liv and Roxanne. Sol has challengers. I just don't think they've stepped up to the plate yet. I mean, she could defend against Roxanne now. The only thing is now Maxine's in the fray, and I can tell you right now, Paul Heyman's got pull on that. He's going to want more gold.
Oh, I can see that too. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, because they can. Yeah, now that Max is a heel, I can see that as well.
The only problem I have is I have no problem with them putting them running a Maxine and Sol, especially with Maxine as a heel, because she's going to cheat and her character is going to be better, I feel like. But I think Lyra and Bayley are going to be caught up in this feud for a while, it seems like, because I don't think they're having a match next week, but they're doing a face-to-face.
Having a face-off. Yeah.
So that match could happen at Saturday Night's Main Event or possibly SummerSlam. So could we be looking at a Sol Ruka versus Roxanne at SummerSlam, or Sol Ruka versus Maxine? Maybe that's the direction, or maybe the number one contender match is Bayley and Lyra. The winner of that faces Sol at SummerSlam. Maybe they could do something like that. I think it's just a
I feel like it's gonna end up being I feel like it's gonna end up being Lyra because they have interacted with each other before. At least we've seen them together before, so it makes more sense for it to be Lyra. I think I would love it to be Roxanne, but they don't have that they didn't have any interactions with each other, but prior to this, and Soul and Lyra have. So for I guess for I don't want to say storyline, but for the based off what we've seen, it would have made more sense for it to be Lyra. And the fact that Lyra did say that, I never got in it, say that, I got try to get my chance after, for the IC championship, and they had their match on Raw and she lost, and we saw Lyra just getting me and upset as it is from before that first time. And then it was a slow trajectory of her turning heel. I never put it together, her being a heel. But it was slowly going to happen there. And that makes more sense for it to be Lyra than Roxanne right now because of the fact that they just had a lot of TV time together between Soul and Lyra. So it makes more sense for it to be Lyra.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but Soul's first title defense was against Lyra, but she was a babyface.
Right.
So I'm interested to see what they can do, and we'll touch more on this Wednesday, obviously. They changed Lyra over to a heel. She got a new character, so obviously there are plans for Lyra moving forward as a heel. So hopefully they get through this Lyra Bailey thing and find a nice credible challenger for Soul moving forward for maybe Saturday Night's Main Event. Or if not, SummerSlam, because we have no fucking idea what's going on with Rhea or any of that shit, which we'll talk about that Wednesday as well. So, so we then take a look back at what happened at the start of Raw last week. Obviously, we talked about that already. We see Byron Saxton in the interview area, and he brings out the young OG, Javon Evans. Byron asks Javon about that gauntlet match next week. Javon says Byron didn't have to bring up his loss at the King of the Ring. Javon then says he felt like he wasn't ready to be on Raw, but Adam Pearce called him to be part of the gauntlet. Javon then says anybody who stands in front of him, he will take care of them, and he will be coming for Penta at SummerSlam. So Javon Evans is part of that gauntlet, and we've kind of already touched on the gauntlet. Unless there's anything else you want to add to that.
No, just the fact that getting the King of the Ring tournament was a complete waste of time. They just completely wasted that. It could have just did not have to do that at all. I feel like they just, like I said, they care more about the women than they do with the men, because Io gets her shot, she's facing Liv, that's not changing, and so this is why I focus heavily on the women, because they are making sense mostly on their storylines, and the men are kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it. Yeah, I think
so Javon's in the gauntlet for next week. Is
that?
Is Javon in the gauntlet next week?
Yeah, he is. I'm gonna announce all of them at the end. I think Javon, Chad, and Ethan Page has got to be like the top three favorites, obviously, to win that, because Joe Henry's not winning, Dragon Lee's not winning. And if Rusev is in it up too, I think he's not winning either. So, all right. So we see Paul Heyman in the ring. He introduces himself. He says he serves as the advocate for the greatest combat fighter in the history, Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman then says he came out here to talk about Oba Femi. That's how he said it. Paul Heyman then says Femi came to WWE like he owned the joint. Heyman then says Oba doesn't. Paul Heyman then recalls Brock Lesnar giving Oba Femi a low blow last week. Paul Heyman then says it's nothing compared to the pain Oba Femi is going to suffer inside Hell in a Cell. Paul Heyman then says Oba Femi has inspired and compelled Brock Lesnar to emerge. Paul Heyman says Oba made the biggest mistake of his life by accepting the challenge from Lesnar. Paul Heyman then says there is no way and no how. Heyman then says Lesnar will destroy Femi inside Hell in a Cell. And then out comes Oba Femi, and man, did Chicago go crazy. He is so over. Oba makes his way down to the ring to interrupt Paul Heyman. Ova says Heyman loves to talk so much, and that's why he came out here so he won't be lonely. Ova then says he wants to. Yeah, that's funny. He said he wants to give Paul Heyman a face to talk to. Paul Heyman then says he thinks Obafemi learned last week, talk shit, get hit. Paul Heyman then says he is valuable because he prevents people from making bad choices. Paul Heyman then says he gives props to Obafemi for defeating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 42. Heyman then says Lesnar proved at Clash in Italy that Obafemi is beatable. Paul Heyman then says Femi is not stepping inside the Hell in a Cell with anybody. It's Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman then talks about Brock's achievements, talks about Lesnar beating Undertaker twice inside the Hell in a Cell. Paul Heyman then says Obafemi didn't just accept the challenge to step into the cage with Lesnar. Heyman says the cell is Brock is the Broctagon. Paul Heyman then says Brock Lesnar is a mountain that Obafemi cannot climb. Paul Heyman then calls Brock Lesnar an unbeatable superstar in WWE history. Heyman then says the beatable one is going to be Obafemi. Femi then says Brock Lesnar showed up last week after he called him names, and that proves every single thing he said about him got under his skin that he was watching. Femi then says Lesnar can pretend he doesn't watch the show, but last week's actions suggested that he definitely watches the show. Over then says Paul Heyman is now doing the damage control. Over then says he thinks Paul Heyman is less than an advocate. Over then says he thinks Heyman is just a mouth, but it needs to be fed. Over Femi then says he knows Paul is scared. Over then says every man knows when his time has come, whether it is the beginning or the end. Over Femi then says it's the final chapter, and at SummerSlam, this is where he will close the book. Obafemi vows to beat Brock Lesnar in front of his children, his wife, and his family. Obafemi then says there's not a single thing that stands between him and destiny. Over then tells Paul to convey his message to Brock. Obafemi then says he will see Brock Lesnar in hell. And then Obafemi tosses the mic. So, what do you think about that? That's some interesting stuff right there.
I feel like what he said, when he said the fact that he's about him losing like twice to he lost his second Hell in a Cell match or something. It was like there was something like that. I was kind of slightly confused because I was like, what is he talking about? I guess unless I've missed something in terms of him.
Well,
there was something.
Heyman was saying that Brock Lesnar had beaten Undertaker twice in Hell in a Cell.
You see, yeah, that part I was like, I remember the one in 2015. I don't know if they ever had that's the only Hell in a Cell match I know that he had. That he had another one.
Not that I can remember. I thought the only one was 2015. That part of the
program. I was like, okay, did I miss some things? Like, did I? You know, I know that they were, you know, both were I think in 2003, 2004 were super young then. So I wouldn't know, but. So I thought that was their first match. I know that they had a match at SummerSlam, but that was a standard match. So I don't know what he was saying there, but you know, I enjoyed this. I feel like the fact that we didn't have Reigns or Lesnar tonight, but they'll be there next week. Like, okay, well, whatever. It just made both Rollins and Oba, fortunately, with their promos just being at least Oba had Heyman to go back and forth with. But it's like, you know, still not the same. I felt like it wasn't bad. I just felt like it could have been better with their opponents actually there. But it was fine for what it was. I'm intrigued how Lesnar's going to respond next week. And you know, just hyping up their match for SummerSlam and all that stuff. So I mean, at least I am happy that matches that happened at Saturday Night's main event, as people would predict it beforehand. So you know, I'm looking, like I said, I was looking forward to the match when they announced it last week. And so it's still something I'm looking forward to. I just still think ultimately was stupid because again, this was the plan. They should never won King in the Ring. And I just think this was completely they could have avoided this and not did what they did because you just wasted weeks of TV They wasted your time talking about and explaining this tournament, and it led to that situation. So I feel bad for you. I feel bad for every podcaster that are doing this. I feel bad for us just watching this, trying to be invested into what's going on with these shows every week to get to where we are, that we all assume what was going to happen. So, I mean, it was fine, whatever. We'll see what happens next week when they're back in the ring for another brawl and stuff like that. But it was all right.
I mean, for me, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, you said it best. I didn't really get you kind of beat me to it. There is no Saturday night's main event, Bill, which is fucking just unbelievable to me because it's in Madison Square Garden. They gotta get that shit going because of this. It's 11 days away. With 2 matches and fucking Danhausen is the main event as of right now. So, it was a good promo. Oba's great on the mic. Paul, he's great. Brock will show up next week, talk shit as always. My response to what you said is, the thing is, it's Triple H. The thing is, I don't believe Obafemi was always the plan. I told you that from the start of the tournament. I'm not going to get away from that. I do believe Seth was the planned winner from the beginning, and they love to swerve. I think they did a great job with the women's, even though Liv was in it, by sticking with the original winner, and having her actually have a title match instead of Oba just. Now he's just not even fucking talking about it. It's kind of like the King of the Ring. It's kind of like the Money in the Bank to some sort. I'm not really a big fan of that. But Oba's over.
Like it never happened. Yeah, like it never even happened. Like they just did it. It's like he's like, who cares? I don't care about this. I don't care about a championship match. I only care about Brock Lesnar. I said that. I said that last week or 2.
Yeah. And the thing is, the worst part about it is all of this could have been avoided. They could have had Brock show up and just, get Oba counted out. If since this was the original plan, and just they ran Seth and Braun at Night Champion in a steel cage, which is
they had a 4-way. They had a 4-way. Would have been so hard to have at least Penta in the semifinals, even though he was IC champion and I was expecting him to win anyway. We could have gotten fit Penta versus Braun Breaker. I mean, honestly. And then that Dominic Mysterio.
Or we could have got Oba and Braun. Everybody.
That's
I don't like how they did it. Seth was, for me, was the person that was supposed to win the whole time. I mean, it's like they took a tractor and they're trying to plow a field. This is coming from somebody that's country. They're trying to plow a field and somebody's instructing them to go 600 yards north, which is straight, and they go 600 miles south, and then they turn and go 600 miles counterclockwise to the left to try to get back to the north, and then they finally get to the fucking north. That's what it seemed like they did.
Convoluted and so complicated. Oh my god!
Yeah. Like just to get back to Reigns and Rollins. So good promo. Look forward to seeing Brock next week. They are doing a great job of building SummerSlam. They're just the last question I have in regards to Oba, because I'm sure we're going to talk so much more about them in the coming weeks. But do you think Oba Brock main events night 1? I don't, but do you?
I hope not. I feel like they might. Every time they keep matching this match, and I'm just trying to envision it in my mind, I can just for some reason see it in the main event of night 1. I don't know, for some reason I could just see it. I don't know why, but
it just depends on who Punk faces, honestly. Because if it's Punk Cody, there's no way. Brock likes to open and go back home. I think ESPN's probably going to want that Hell in a Cell match on ESPN, so I can see it opening night 1 or night 2. I don't think it's damn sure not main event night 2, but I could see it being a possibility that could main event night 1. But we'll go ahead and move on.
But that makes sense though, honestly, for it to open as well. They're also going to be ESPN. I'm sure they want to. I also got to factor into it because I don't watch it on ESPN because I don't have that. I watch it on Hulu. So for me, it's all the same to me. So, but because they're going to be on ESPN, proper itself. I can see it opening it. So I mean, I'm sure that's probably what may end up happening anyway. So.
Yep. I think it probably open night one to get the crowd going. It's ESPN is going to want that Hell in a Cell on their broadcast. But we see Jackie Redmond. She's backstage with Sami Zayn. Jackie says Cody Rhodes. She tells Sami that Cody Rhodes is no longer, oh my God, is no longer medically cleared to compete. Sami Zayn just has this fucking look on his face like he just found his Christmas stocking. Sami then says he doesn't.
He won the lottery.
Yeah, he just fucking won a scratch ticket or something, scratch off ticket or whatever. Sami then says he doesn't wish ill upon anybody or Cody Rhodes for that matter. Sami then says he was looking forward to testing himself tonight. Sami says he couldn't understand why he was defending his title on Raw. He said he can just go, we can deal with this on SmackDown. The repercussions are what we're going to be doing next.
People are from SmackDown.
Yeah, fucking idiot. Sami's an idiot. Adam Pearce then walks up to Sami Zayn and says, "Hey, man, we're not going to SmackDown." He said, "I promised Chicago a championship match, and I am going to give it to them." Adam Pearce then says Sami Zayn will defend his undefeated WWE title in the main event, and that is official. I'm not gonna really. We don't really have to touch on that because we're gonna talk about the main event. Chad Gable makes his way down to the ring for the next match of the night, and Dragon Lee follows. It's going to be Chad Gable and Dragon Lee versus Ethan Page and Rusev. We're at an hour 46. We're not going to go through every fucking move, but this was.
I think what I'm going to say about this, honestly, is that when it comes to Ethan Page and Rusev, I'm sick of them being a team. I thought Ethan Page was going to be in a serious role in the IC title picture. I thought he was going to be in a major feud with Penta. I thought he was going to be taking the title off of Penta, and then they would have done Ethan Page and Gable at SummerSlam. That's what I originally thought. I would like to see Penta and Chad Gable. Maybe that's what they do next week with him winning the Gauntlet. Probably, maybe they'll run that, which is fine by me. But I for Ethan in particular, I just felt bad because I thought I saw more of him being a single star instead of him being in this team with Rusev. I feel like it's just wasting Ethan's time to me.
Yeah, so we'll go to like the very end of the match. Rusev hits the Machka kick. Dragon Lee super kicks Rusev. He then heads to the top rope and launches himself, but Rusev hits him with a kick and slams him down. Rusev then applies an accolade, and Dragon Lee taps out. The winners of the tag team match is All Ego, Ethan Page, and Rusev. Rusev made Dragon Lee tap out after the match. Gable goes for the German suplex on Rusev, but Ethan Page helps Rusev launch a 2-on-1 attack. Out comes Joe Henry. Then comes to the aid of Chad Gable and sends Rusev to the outside. Joe Henry then hits Ethan Page with a follow-away slam. Rusev then hits a Machka kick. Ethan Page then hits an Eagleplex. Rusev then applies an accolade to Joe Henry, and officials then rush to the ring to stop Rusev and Ethan. So this is basically just all setting up this gauntlet match really quick. Before we move on to the next segment, we have a question from Tribal Kingpin. It looks like 2 questions for both. I guess both of us can answer it if we want. Question, I'll let you. You can start. I'll read it out, and then you can. Number 1, how do you feel about the men's mid card scene on Raw, and has anyone stood out to you in recent weeks?
The mid card on Raw. Well, for me, like I enjoy Penta as the IC champion. I really do. I feel like with Penta in particular, I need him to be in some credible feuds. I feel like the stuff that he did with the one-off match he had with Rey Mysterio, I enjoyed. Like I said, I feel like to me, Ethan Page would have been a really good opponent. I know they did that match Saturday Night's Main Event beforehand, and that was a one-off, but I feel like they could have had a good feud going back and forth a little bit longer. I know they're going to ultimately do Chad Gable, which is fine. I think maybe that was the end goal anyway, since they changed. They got Chad Gable back to being himself, and and we've seen that before between Gable and Penta. It's been a while, so I'm sure that's the direction anyway. But that's the only thing that kind of was what I really enjoyed, and that I really wanted to see more of And when he says, "Is there anyone in the Raw in the mid card men's or women's you feel should be in the main event scene?" Pence at this point, honestly, Pence at this point, he needs to. I think whenever he loses the championship, I want him to be going after Roman Reigns, have him wrestle Seth Rollins, have him face Braun Breaker. At this point, Penta to me needs to be in the ring with those type of names at this point instead of going after the mid cards at this point. Honestly, I think he needs to be in that level now because he's been there for a year and he's been good. He's been great in the mid card, but I think I need to see him interact with someone like Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker and Logan Paul moving forward. So that's what I need to see Penta in at this point. And for the women, kind of same thing I feel about you for Roxanne as well. Do more with her for the love of God. I want to see more of her in the main event scene. Lyra at this point as well, needs ways to turn her heel. So Lyra's going to be in that position, and so yeah, that's how I look at it at that point, So like I said with Maxine, I don't know if they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to have her in the main event scene or whatever, but they're doing something with her now. Again, that's still super new, so I can't really say Maxine, but definitely Roxanne for sure needs to be in the main event scene in the women's division for the love of God.
Yeah, 100%. For me, Kingpin, how do you feel about the men's mid card scene on Raw? Has anyone stood out to you in recent weeks? I'm gonna have to kind of piggyback off of Kyle. Penta for me has been the best champion overall as far as like workhorse champion. He has put that title on the line so many times. I don't even know the amount of title defenses. I know it's in double digits. So Penta, 100%. I mean, someone that stood out to me is Javon Evans. I do believe I mean, that's still question one, but I do. Penta obviously is at the top, and then I thought it was Ethan Page, but after the Saturday Night Main Event loss, he's kind of, I don't know, he's been relegated to the tag title scene with Rusev. So I'm gonna say the young OG on that. Number 2, is there anyone in the Raw mid card men or women you feel should be in the main event scene? That is a really good question. On the men's side, I have 2. I think that Chad Gable could be in the main event scene. Not right now, but on down the line because he is so fucking popular. And he's so great in the ring. He's been in there with Gunther. He's been in there with Sammy. He's been in there with Cody. So I think he's one.
Been there with Kaiser.
Yep. I would say also I don't think Ethan's ready for that yet. I would say Javon, possibly not now, but he's going to be a main card star. On the women, oh my God, that's tough. Roxanne is got to be. I put this in the rundowns comments. She's taken 56 losses since being on the main roster. That is absolutely just not. That's just not the way to do it. With the former NXT fucking women's legend, Roxanne. I'm gonna pick one Raw women superstar, and I'm gonna pick one SmackDown women superstar that I would want to see get the hell out. And I do believe that me and Kyle talk about this Wednesday, but in detail. Alexa Bliss, that heel turn, we're starting to see it. Alexa's got to get out. I love Charlotte. I love Alexa together, but it's been going on for way too long. Alexa needs to be in the on the women's side. She needs to be in the main event.
I've been harping her being the U.S. champion since she came back. So I mean,
JC Jane too. Even if it's the U.S. title, I think it's time that because they are going to put the tag titles on Fallon and Laney, whether it happens at Saturday Night's Main Event or SummerSlam. That's the plan. JC, I don't think they immediately have to have her beat Rhea, but I think she needs to be at least a United States champion at some point. So that's my good question.
Rhea decided to show up to work.
Yeah, 100%. But that 2 good questions. Tribal Kingpin, he always asks really good questions. So we then take a look back at what happened last week with Jimmy and LA Knight. We see Jimmy and he is leaving the building. Jackie Raven catches up to him. Jimmy then says it's time for him to step up to the bloodline. Jimmy says he's going to SmackDown. Oh, man, I'm so excited about that. I'm talking, I'm just eat up with excitement. And he said he'd going to SmackDown to get Solo Sikoa. Then we see LA Knight walking up to Jimmy Uso, and Jacob Fatu ambushes him. And he tells Jimmy, we got this under control. Any thoughts about this? This is fucking just so repetitive. I'm so sick of it.
Not really, man. I mean, it was around this time they were outside and he got punched in the face.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, they clearly gonna do the match next week, and so it's like whatever.
Or we get Jacob LA Knight at Saturday Night's main event. I don't know. Fuck it. Let's do it. Get it over with. Like, I'm so excited. Let's move on. So we see Adam Pearce. We see Adam Pearce working on he's on the phone trying to get a hold of a challenger for Sami Zayn's match because Cody can't go. So we go to Byron Saxton. You'll be interested in this. I'm not sure if this was on TV or if this was on the VPN. We see Byron Saxton, and he is with Roxanne Perez, Raquel Rodriguez.
I didn't see this, but I did see it eventually on YouTube. So,
okay. Byron asked him about the match between Raquel and Soul and the group's momentum. Liv says they are the greatest faction of all time. Liv then says she is disappointed in Io. Liv then says that this is Raquel's night. Liv then says she was supposed to be the champion. Raquel then tells Soul and Io it is not over until they say it's over. She then says she will not stop until she gets what belongs to her. Roxanne then says Io wanted to make a statement tonight. Next week, she will make a statement, and Io won't make it to SummerSlam, which next week we will see Io Sky and Roxanne Perez go one-on-one. Your thoughts?
I love this. It was great. I thought it was really funny. Every time Liv does the squeaky of all time stuff in the high pitched voice, it's always funny to me. Slightly annoying, but I find it funny. Roxanne got is targeting Io, headed for set it up for next week. I'm looking forward to that match itself. Their interactions with each other. That was one of the qualified matches for the Chamber last year. And so, which remember I said before, it pissed me off because I wanted both of them in the Chamber instead of one of them. So they have great chemistry together in the ring. It's always great too to see every time Io or Liv or Roxanne are tangled up with each other. They just blend well together because their height, they're pretty much the same height. And I just enjoyed their interactions together before. I'd be intrigued to see how Roxanne does with Soul, because I remember Liv and Soul, when Soul's first match happened on Raw, they had a good chemistry in the ring as well. So it kind of depends how they're in the ring together. But for Roxanne and Liv, I'm looking forward to it. It's a match it's something I want to see more of for like a feud in the future. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the match. A good preview for SummerSlam for Io.
Yeah, 100%. I love everything about this. I do believe that we probably will see Raquel and Soul again. I think the match was good. And I like that they're lining up people for Soul, and it's not similar to what Liv's situation is, where she's went over 100 days now without defending the title. Unfortunately, I do love Roxanne and Io. I am super excited about the match. It's going to cook, but unfortunately, I think that Roxanne is going to add to that fucking number of losses. Yeah,
God,
I don't think she's beating Io, so we'll talk about that Wednesday. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be one of the highlights for next week for sure. So we go to Bayley. Obviously, Lyra cut a promo last week. This is Bayley's response. She cuts a promo and she says Lyra waited for hours to meet her at a signing, and they got to talk about her career. Bayley then says she became a fan of Lyra and was her friend. Bayley then says when she had the hardest year of her career, it was Lyra who kept her level-headed. Bayley then said you kept her strong. Bayley then says she shared her experiences and stories with Lyra, and she thought it guided her, but you used it against her. Bailey then says, you took the easy way out. Bailey then says she is going to give Lyra one chance to prove she is not everyone else. Bailey then tells Lyra to meet her into the ring next week for a face-to-face. Bailey is absolutely heartbroken by Lyra Valkyria's betrayal. Your thoughts?
It was a good video package, very similar to what happened last week with Lyra. I think I enjoyed that better because Lyra was first I'm seeing Lyra as a heel, and it was really cool to see that. And I really liked that more. I mean, I know how Bailey is as a heel and face at this point, so I've seen like kind of very, she did a good job, but I did enjoy Lyra's more. And like I said, I'm looking forward to their match next or their face off next week's not really a match, but building to their match for hopefully SummerSlam. I'd rather see that SummerSlam instead of Saturday Night's main event. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I'm intrigued really more of what Lyra's going to look like, and if she's going to change, if she changed her theme song of when she comes out. I think that's what I'd be more interested in. And also them going back and forth, of course, but really just how will Lyra look next week with as a heel. So I'm intrigued by that. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I feel like the storyline. They're both ladies are doing with these video packages, telling a story of going back to at the beginning when Bailey was kind of Lyra's successor, and she was just Lyra was sponging off of Bailey, like getting all the information she could. Bailey got replaced in that women's tag team match when Becky and Lyra won the titles. It's long-term storytelling, so I'm enjoying it. I am looking forward to seeing if they're changing Lyra's character and her entrance next week, so looking forward to that. All right, so it is then announced that next week on Raw, Brock Lesnar will be there. There will be a number one contenders gauntlet match where we will see Dragon Lee, Dominic Mysterio, Ethan Page, Javon Evans, Chad Gable, and who am I leaving out? There's one other one I'm leaving out. Ethan Page. So let me count. Ethan Page, Chad Gable, Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio Jr., Javon Evans, and Rusev. So that's the
Rey Mysterio.
No, Mysterio's out. He's hurt. Because Dragon Lee.
You meant Dominic. Okay. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, Dominic's in the match. The greatest Mysterio of all time, Dominic. So then also Io Sky faces Roxanne Perez, and Roman Reigns will be there also. So we see Adam Pearce. He's on the phone. Nick Aldis shows up. Adam Pearce wants to know what. Okay, so I don't know who this guy is. John GS5. I don't care who wins. All right, thank you.
Don't care who wins what.
I don't know I don't know what match, but we talked about a lot of them. But thank you for the comment. Yeah, I don't know who that is. So we see Adam Pearce. He's on the phone. Nick Aldis shows up. Adam Pearce wants to know what Nick Aldis wants. Nick says that is a strange way to say thank you. Nick then says he secured a replacement for Sammy's opponent, and he is in the building. Nick then says Adam can tell him thank you. So Sami Zayn's opponent is in the building. So we see Rusev and Ethan Page with Byron Saxton, and Rusev yells about what he is going to do since they won tonight. Ethan tells everyone since they won, this is where you cheer. Ethan Page then says he was proud to injure Ray, and you not only one up him, you not only two up him, you three up him. He then says they took care of the other options in the gauntlet. Rusev then says he would have ripped off Penta's mask. Ethan Page asked Penta and the fans if they enjoyed the show. He then says the same thing that happened tonight will happen next week. Byron then asks what happens if they face off in the match. Ethan Page then says the best man will win, and Page says to trust him. So not much. We've already talked about that. We see JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio, and they say they don't care who Danhausen's backup is, which is Jalen Bronson from the Knicks, and he will destroy Danhausen and put him in the bin. Dominic then, or it could be Baron Corbin too. Dominic then tells Danhausen to give him their money back and uncurse JD. He then says, give them what they want, or they will make Danhausen's life a living hell. We talked about this at length. It is a match At Saturday night's main event, Danhausen is going 1-on-1 with JD. Danhausen is going to have either Jalen Brunson or Baron Corbin in his corner. So let's get to the main event. Undisputed WWE Champion Sami Zayn makes his way down to the ring for the main event of the night. So then this was pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. Immediately the crowd started chanting CM Punk. So it was fucking obvious. It was already obvious when Cody got hurt. I put it in the chat. I was like, Punk's winning the title. It's in Chicago. So like it's like he was in a garage and like they opened the garage door up and he's standing there and like he walks through.
Very similar to what he did last year.
Yeah,
2 years ago with Drew McIntyre.
Punk looked jacked. Like he looked like since he'd been away from TV, he's been working out. He looked in great shape. CM Punk's music hit. He makes his return and the fucking place goes bananas. We're not going to go through the entire match. We'll get toward the end because we're two hours into the stream. Punk goes for a GTS, but Sami fights out of it. Punk hits a series of clotheslines. He follows up with a kick. Punk hits a running knee in the corner, follows it up with a spinning neck breaker for a near fall. Punk then goes for a GTS once again. Sami Zayn counters. He applies a hammerlock into a clothesline for a near fall. Punk heads to the top rope, but Sami cuts him off. Both men are on the top rope, but Sami hits a superplex. On down, and later, this was a long match. Punk then places Sami Zayn. Punk places Sami Zayn in the Anaconda bites, and Sami breaks the hold. Punk then goes for the Bret Hart sharpshooter, but Sami is able to counter. He almost, so when Sami countered, he did that same move that he beat Cody with at Night of Champions, but Punk kicked out. Both men exchanged strikes in the middle of the ring. Punk was busted open. His lip was busted open as well. Punk then goes for a GTS, but Sami counters and hits a GTS of his own. But Punk kicked out, so Sami hit Punk with his own move. Sami then goes for a Luba kick, but Punk hits him with an exploder in the corner. Punk then goes for a Luba kick, but Sami Zayn hits him with another GTS, and he follows it up with a Blue Thunder Bomb for a near fall. Sami then slaps Punk, saying, "You're putting up a fight, but this is my title." Punk then takes the fight back to Sami. Punk then hits Sami with a running knee. Sami then misses a Haluva kick. Punk then hits Sami Zayn with a Haluva kick on his own, and he follows it up with a GTS for the 1, 2, 3, and CM the winner and the new for the second or third. Yeah, the second. This is the third champion in the last 9 days. The winner and the new undisputed WWE champion, the best in the world, CM Punk. After the match, Punk celebrates in the ring as pyro goes off in the arena. Punk goes through the crowd with the championship and celebrates as the show comes to a close. Your thoughts on all of this shit? Punk hasn't had a match since WrestleMania. I get it. They were in Chicago. He's over. He looked great in the ring. I'm not gonna lie, he didn't miss a beat from WrestleMania. He looked phenomenal in the ring. But your thoughts on the match? And where do we go next?
The match was fine. It wasn't for me. I was like, it was all right. I know people enjoyed it, but it was fine. Him winning the championship again, I feel like it was, like I said earlier, beginning of the stream, that it felt like it was a waste of time hyping up Sami Zayn for all those weeks to this moment, for him to be champion for only like half a week. And so it was just lame with the character that they had him do. It's like, what was the point of any of this? And they, like I said before, this was the plan anyway. I wish this happened on SmackDown, not Raw, because it would have made more sense. For this is a SmackDown championship, and maybe because they clearly didn't have a substantial main event to build for this week. For some reason, hold off and wait until next week. So whatever. It is what it is. I feel like I think they could have had Seth Rollins end the show with him saying what he had to say, and then went off the air with that. I would have been fine. And then wait till Reigns happened for next week. I don't think they needed to do a match. It was cool. It was cool that he did a match, but I wish they just did the promo segment and the main event segment, honestly. But it's fine, I guess. And so Sammy's no longer champion. It's been a wasteful reign, and and CM Punk is going to be on SmackDown moving forward. So whoopie do. I mean, I don't know what the plan is. This is Drew McIntyre all over again. Maybe he's going to do the rematch between him and Cody. That's probably why he didn't do the match at all here. Which why even announce the match if you weren't going to do it? And so again, this is the Oba Femi thing to me, and it's just it was a waste of time. And now I don't know what's next for Sammy and Punk. I'm sure it's probably a triple threat scenario. I'm guessing for SummerSlam, maybe even a 4-way because they're still involved. Or maybe they'll just do a, I don't know, or maybe not. I don't know what. I think it'll be a triple threat. So it is what it is. It kind of didn't need to be that way. I think you could have just done Punk and Cody 1-on-1 non-titled at SummerSlam, but whatever. It is what it is. But Punk is now going to be on SmackDown, so.
The Punk Cody, I mean, me and you are a lot alike, and we agree on a lot of stuff, and I think that's what makes us so good. When we do a show together, because we don't always have to agree, and that's okay. Like you said at the last show, I personally don't think CM Punk's first match back at a PLE and a big, huge match like that with Cody Rhodes, which is probably one of the biggest matches left that CM Punk's going to have in his career, needs to be non-title. I know people are got the Cody Rhodes fatigue. I don't, I said this in my exclusive channel before Raw started. There was a couple of different pictures going into the show. I got a message about 6 a.m. this morning saying that, they may pivot away from Cody. And have CM Punk win because obviously it was in Chicago. It is similar to what they did with Oba, but it was basically a swerve moment and a feel good moment. He was in Chicago. He hasn't been on TV in almost 3 months. So I think it was the right call because I do believe if they would have put the title right back on Cody Rhodes, then Cody would have had to drop the title, I feel like, to Punk at SummerSlam. So now we can kind of work with some shit here. Like, could Cody Rhodes be sick of getting his head busted the fuck open every week? Is he finally going to just say, fuck this and snap, and we get a heel Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam? Because that's what we all want.
I will say that's going to make SmackDown interesting to talk about. Or just to watch. You get something different here with Punk now on the show. So
what I think is going to happen, Kyle, is ultimately I think we're going to get. I thought we would get a triple threat, but I think Gunther is just so caught. I don't think Aldis and Adam Pearce are going to allow him to be in that for what he did to Cody. I think we're going to get a number 1 contenders match between Sammy and Cody. Maybe we don't get a clear winner, and maybe they do a triple threat because I don't know what else the fuck they could do with Sammy. Sammy's not. I can tell you this for 100% certain positive. He was supposed to win the title in WrestleMania 43 in Saudi. It got pushed up to Night of Champions. Sami Zayn is not winning the World Heavyweight Championship again. He got his 9 days of fame. That's it. This championship's going to go to Punk and back to Cody. Probably back to Punk, and then to Randy, and then back to Cody, and then to Drew, and then back to Punk, and back to Cody. Sammy ain't touching that title again. So it's unfortunate, but he got his 9 days of fame. They got to do some sort of number 1 contenders match. Maybe Jay throws his. I fucking hope not, but maybe he throws. Maybe he throws his name back in the mix. I doubt it. I think he's going to be involved with the LA Knight situation and stuff. I think we either get a triple.
To me, they would push Carmelo Hayes into this picture here, but
Yeah,
whatever. That's not.
I think we got Carmella and Trick's pretty much locked for SummerSlam for the
And that's
US
fine.
title.
I'm just saying that's I mean that's fine. I'm just saying and like in a perfect world, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
you would have some younger people in here to get them an opportunity to at least see what they can do. Like it'll put them in. You have to give these people a shot in order to make people to care and people to, you know, get people to get invested into these younger people, because at some point they need to start pushing them and not focus heavily on these 40 people, 40-year-olds all the time now at this point. It's like, come on, they've been there, done that. How what does it look like with Cody Rhodes and Ricky Stars? I know they faced each other before, but I never seen them together in the ring before. So you know, and all these people. So I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, like it's all going to come down to, like, obviously Cody's not really hurt, it's kayfabe, but you know, they're going to play it off like he's hurt. So, like, if Cody can't go, then maybe Sammy does get another title match at SummerSlam. He ain't winning. But, you know, maybe that's a way to push Cody and Punk off all the way to fucking WrestleMania, which I still don't think Punk's holding the title that long. I think it needs to happen now because who knows what's going to happen with Punk. He has been known to be very injury prone. He looks great, though. He did look great. Very good physical condition for his age, but we'll see what happens Friday. He is going to be. It was heavily rumored all the way back after WrestleMania that he would be going to SmackDown when he came back to TV. All those rumors that were put all over the internet that sent everybody into a fucking frenzy were debunked tonight about the pay cuts, and he was unhappy with Creator. The motherfucker hadn't had a match in 3 months, and he shows up and wins the title. So everybody can just shut the hell up and stop listening to all these people that don't even have a profile picture. Or, you know, stop listening to these people. They don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Just stop listening to them. It was okay. I like it. It's a hometown moment. I'm happy for Punk. I'm only happy for Punk if it leads to Cody and Punk at SummerSlam. Anything less, I'm going to be disappointed because I don't know if we – at Punk's age, I don't know if we ever get Punk and Cody, and I think this is the time, and I think this is an opportunity for WWE and for Cody Rhodes to say, look, man, like, everybody's turned their back on me. I'm getting bloodied every week. I don't have any fucking friends. I don't have any friends anymore. They're all taking, you know, they've all turned on me or taken advantage of the situation. I need to turn heel. And we get to heel Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and maybe he beats CM Punk by turning heel. I'm 100% behind that. If Cody's not turning heel, he does not need to win the title. And this is coming from one of the biggest Cody fans out there. If he's not going to turn heel at SummerSlam, he doesn't need to win the title. But we'll see what happens Friday. I'm looking forward to SmackDown to see if Cody's even going to be medically cleared to compete. I think he's going to find a way. I do, and then me and you are going to be talking about it either on the phone or on a pod, and we're going to be like, well, why didn't he fucking find a way to wrestle Monday then? I do get what you're saying. We do have one last question from Tribal Kingpin before we get out of here. He says, and this is for both of us, you can start. Now that CM Punk is champion again, where do you rank this championship win amongst your top 5? Is the impact bigger since it was in Chicago in front of his hometown? Amongst your top 5 CM Punk title wins, where do you rank this in amongst his top 5? He said, is the impact bigger because it was in Chicago and in front of his hometown and his family? And AJ Lee was in the crowd too. So,
well, and about like when he said the first my top 5 people who were the champions who won the titles, I think for me was Becky.
He's talking about top 5.
He said the top 5. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. I think the big one was the match at Money in the Bank. I think the other one was when he cashed in the briefcase on Jeff Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of really about it for me. That really stuck out to me. I don't really have a 5 thing, but he did say something else to beginning. What he said right there at the very beginning there.
He said, I'll put the comment back up. Sorry. Now that CM Punk is champion again, where do you rank this championship win amongst your top 5? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, like I said, I was for me, like Becky was number one for me because for her first championship win, I really enjoyed that. Second was Alexa. I enjoyed that too. Her winning the title from Becky at that tables match, I enjoyed. Third, I guess her Sasha's win, her first win at when she defeated Charlotte on Raw. So that'd be third for me. Fourth, fourth. I guess really seeing Edge become champion again in 2010 when he took the title back from what's his name, Kane, and then so yeah, I guess so then fifth for it to be was that four or is that three? I got two more.
That's four.
Okay, so my last one is let's see, what else I really enjoyed. I'm not really sure.
I mean, it can be.
Liv Morgan winning the championship at for when she cashed in at Money in the Bank and she won. I really enjoyed that moment there too. So I wanted her to have a lot of reign at that year, but I enjoyed her cashing that briefcase that year. So those are my five.
All right, and then the second question is amongst your, would you put this title win? He said is the impact bigger since it was in Chicago in front of his hometown? And would you rank this in your top five of CM Punk title wins? I mean, I think
bigger. It was his hometown, so of course it would be bigger. He's over in any city anyway, but it was his hometown, so of course it's bigger. And the other thing is I don't really, for CM Punk himself, I'm not a Punk fan really. So it's the only match I care for CM Punk that he had was his two matches with John Cena in 2011 at SummerSlam and Money in the Bank. And I also did enjoy his feud with Daniel Bryan as well, but mainly because AJ Lee was involved. And so, but that's really about it. Really, I didn't really have any Punk fandom really for me. He just had good moments with Cena and Bryan for me that I enjoyed. So, that nothing really special. Honestly, like I said, that Bryan Punk feud was really all about AJ Lee anyway. She was the only reason why that got me into women's wrestling, at least starting out. So that got me into it. So anyway, that's how I feel about it. And that was the high Punk anyway. So yeah, that's really nothing for me. What about you?
All right, so for me, my top five, CM Punk's win tonight is definitely not in that top five. I like Punk though. Number one is going to be Cody Rhodes defeating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, just because because it pissed off half of the 90% of the community, and he finally got to finish the story. I was there, so that definitely makes it even more. Cody, lost at 39, and a really long match that could have went either way. So Cody finishing the story would be number one. Number two, this is tough. I believe it was a Hell in a Cell match. I believe with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. When Shawn Michaels had just come back from being hurt. I don't know the year. I'm terrible with dates. That was one of my favorites. Daniel Bryan's story, where he won that triple threat match. That was definitely one of my favorites. I was a huge Daniel Bryan fan. On the women's side, Rhea Ripley, even though I'm a Charlotte fan, that Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair match was fucking phenomenal.
Love that match.
One of the best female matches of all time, in my opinion. And then I'm gonna say Liv Morgan's cash in on Ronda Rousey. I don't know why, but I just thought that was the funniest shit ever because it was Ronda. I liked Ronda, but she's an MMA fighter, and she just kind of her moveset was just I don't know. That's neither here nor there. That's my top 5. So yes, I think that this was similar to Sami Zayn's. It was a feel good moment, but I don't think it's going to be a fucking 9-day title reign by no means. Sami Zayn got his moments at Saudi Arabia. He's never touching that title again. That was it for him. So kudos to him for winning the title. He's not going to win it again though. It was huge. It wasn't, AJ Lee was there. I'm sure his family and stuff was there as well as in Chicago. They gave him a big, huge ass entrance. Now for me, for title wins, for CM Punk, I probably would put this number. I would probably put this in my top 5, probably 1 or 2, just because he did win it in his hometown. So yeah, that's it for me. And so this has been our Raw recap. Well, it's already Tuesday, July 7th. It's fucking late as hell. But I knew this show was going to be long because it was a lot, and I haven't even been on social media to see all the shit that's been talked about on there. And I still have to promote for NXT tomorrow, so it's going to be a long night for me. But shout out to Raymond in the comments. Also, Tribal Kingpin, excellent question. Thank you so much for coming in. And I at John GS5II. I don't care who wins. I don't care who wins a lot of them, but I agree. Thank you for showing up. Not sure who you are though. Once again, thank you again to Tribal Kingpin. If you are watching live on YouTube, please, if you go back and watch this 2.5-hour show, which has a lot of great content in it, make sure you hit that like button on the stream. It helps me out. It helps my stream, my YouTube channel, my algorithm, and everything. So shout out to 237 people that have watched us live. Before I go to Kyle, and we go to the outro, because we'll do the outro last. We're going to do the outro, and then I'll go to Kyle and let him promote his stuff, and then I'll do my stuff. We are live on my YouTube channel. We're live on my X page. We're also live on DWE Television X. Make sure you follow DWE Television X page. On most of the programs, there is a barcode. You can scan it. You can see everybody's affiliated, starting with Miami the Great 305, who will be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Inside the NFL Mound with Miami. The HR lady and his co-host of DW Radio. You can catch them every Saturday on Talk It Up podcast on YouTube. Make sure you give them a subscription and tune in every Saturday on YouTube, on DW Television X, on Twitch at DW TV, DW Television on Twitch, and also on Spotify. Huge shout out to the World with Greg and Kyle the Man Anthony. Every Monday, an hour before Raw, they will be doing the rundown, and they will be running down the entire Raw card and telling you what they think may not happen on the road to the beginning of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Also, Kyle the Man Anthony has a show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This Wednesday, or 2 days from now, on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, he will be doing the Queens of WWE episode 4, where I will be assisting him moving forward with that. So make sure you follow Kyle as well as Director Reg, After the Slam podcast on X and on YouTube, the Smoke Session podcast, Sports Jedi Network, and everyone affiliated with Gimmick Table Media. This has been your Raw Recap, June the 6th. I believe it's still June 6th. It's not anymore. Nope. 2026. I am going to go to the outro, and then we will be right back. And I will tell you where I can find you on my socials, where you can find me on my socials, and where you can find Kyle. I'll let him tell you guys where you can find him on his socials and what he has coming up next. And then we will get out of here. So we will be right back shortly, guys. And thank you again to 238 people.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go. Show Recap Prediction Sports
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go.
Once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Raw Recap Show. What a crazy episode of Raw tonight. I would give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Kyle as well. I think he said earlier. Thanks again to Kyle. He shot me a text about 30 minutes before Raw asking to come on. I told him anytime he wants to come on, just to hit me up. I'm always looking for anybody to come on and talk about any one of these shows. It helps the show. We get a lot better content. Because it's always better when you can bounce ideas off. Obviously, me and Kyle could probably sit here for hours and hours if it was earlier in the day and talk about wrestling. But thank you again to Kyle for coming on to the Raw Recap. We are looking at 240 viewers right now watching us live. So thank you for coming on for the second week in a row on the Raw Recap. You're welcome anytime. I'm sure I will be seeing you Wednesday night. At 8 p.m. Eastern for Queens of WWE. But with that being said, tell all these wonderful people that's still watching at this time of night where they can find you on your socials and what do you have coming up next.
Yeah, so you can follow me on X at Kyle Rochelle 96. Instagram's Kyle Anthony 96. And, that's if I follow you if I know you or not, but that's Instagram's different than X for me. But so yeah, I'm moving forward going into Wednesday. I have Queens of WWE, of course, every Wednesday. I have my new cause right here next to me, CJP here. That's gonna assist me on what happened throughout the week of women's wrestling and on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then whatever pay-per-view that had happened that weekend. I'll talk about that as well and run down what I think is gonna end up happening and what happened based off what happened in that certain match that week. So look forward to that. It's going to be episode 4. Yeah. And so it's still very new, still very, getting his feet wet. And this new show I'm doing is just, really cool, really good. Still working out being a podcaster as a host. It's not easy. CJ can agree here. It's not easy being a host, but I'm still working at it. I'm sure I'll get the hang of it, in the next, few weeks or so, once I get more episodes down in my belt. But yeah, look forward there. And me and CJ are going to run down the women in WWE. He's been my co-host moving forward. I'm looking forward to work with him because, like he said, me and him have great chemistry together. We can't talk about wrestling forever, honestly, because we just both love it so much and have great insights of what's going on with the show. So look forward to that. And yeah, like I say, go see me on the rundown every Monday before Raw at 7. So with Greg as well. So yeah, it's been really good working with this team. It's been fun. It's been a good year so far for me doing this show, being part of this team. So yeah, that's where you can find me at.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, I mean, it's you obviously have a great wrestling mind, and just to see your progression. Obviously, I've told you this, from the beginning. This is, this certain thing. Not everybody can do it. This is how it is. I'm approaching 11 months with this YouTube channel. And this is I've done over 1,000 live videos, and I still sometimes stumble with words. So it takes a lot of, patience, and, you can't burn yourself out. You just gotta keep grinding, keep working, try to do, even if you think you did your best, you probably didn't. That's the way I judge myself. Like, I'll go back and say, okay, well, I did this wrong last night. Like, I'm going to try to correct that tomorrow on NXT. That's just the only way, is you always want to try to get better. But your main goal here is you want to please your community and your fans and the people that show up, because without them, then you're basically talking to yourself. So
yeah,
that's the most important thing, is appeasing to the people that show up each and every day, especially in my community, for my channel, because I get these numbers, thanks to everybody from DWE for pushing my shows. But, I get the same people pretty regularly for every show. And I just want to tell you guys, thank you for that. So, and also thank you to Kyle for coming on. I'm definitely proud of you for your progression. 2026 has definitely been your year so far. So looking forward to seeing how everything turns out for the rest of the year and going into 2027, because you will be on my show in August when I do my 1 year celebration for my YouTube channel. So thank you again. I'm gonna go over really quick, and then me and Kyle are gonna get out of here. You can find me on my socials. It is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. If you can't read really fast, then I will go ahead and call it out to you. It's going pretty quick. But you can find me on X at EVPCJP. If you follow me, and I do follow you back, which I do majority of the people, if I know you, go up all the way up to the top of my page, and my YouTube is pinned at the top. Please retweet that, share with your friends, family. If you enjoy my wrestling content, I'm sure they will help me get to 300 subscribers. Right now, I'm currently sitting at 238. So I'm almost halfway to 500, which is phenomenal. And not even a year. So looking forward to what the rest of 2026 and 2027 is going to bring. So thank you guys for that. On Instagram, it is a business account, but my YouTube is in my bio, but you can find me at EVPCJP. All I post on there is promotional videos made by Miami and Greg from my upcoming streams. TikTok at Brady the Goat 21. That's at BRADYDA Goat 21. Same thing. My YouTube is in my bio. All promotional videos made by Miami and the World of Greg. Last but not least, and most importantly, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you cannot find my YouTube channel on any of these social media platforms, it is on Facebook as well. If you're Facebook friends with me, go to that search bar in that top right corner and type in at the EVP show, and you can find me. I have over 1,000 live videos, about 500 to 600 YouTube shorts, a couple of pre-recorded videos. And be on the lookout for a new show. I am going to be doing a review of a reality show called Big Brother. I will be starting that soon. I don't know a date. I do know that the show starts this week, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be once a week, probably during the day sometime. Not going to be super big deal, but I know Big Brother has a huge community. Probably be something that takes the place of LFG, because LFG is coming to an end. So be on the lookout for that. And also everything that I told you guys on Scoop. So make sure you guys are there Sunday for that drawing to earn that one month free pass into my restricted channel on Discord. So if you are subscribed to me, turn the notification bell on, and it will remind you when I go live, and share the YouTube page. And if you watch the stream live on YouTube, please hit that like button. Like I said, it helps Kyle out, helps me out, helps everybody out. We are here ultimately to build a community, and we're all one big community at the end of the day, whether we argue or not. We're all here to help each other. So what I have coming up next later on tonight, because it is Tuesday, join me at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time as Kendall Gray defends the NXT Women's Championship against the low-key legend herself, Natty. So tune in at 10:30 p.m. Eastern and join me for the NXT recap. Wednesday, I will be helping Kyle. He's the host, but I will be assisting and co-hosting, whatever you want to call it, with the Queens of WWE episode number 4 at 8 p.m. Eastern live on the DWE television page. Make sure you tune into that. Thursday night, I'm back at 11:30 p.m. Eastern for the TNA recap show. Friday night, it's back to 2 hours. It was last week. Thankful for that. Catch me at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. What will CM Punk do? Will Cody Rhodes respond? What will Sami Zayn? Will he be throwing water bottles and shit Friday? Tune in Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the SmackDown.
Water bottles.
I mean, that's what he does. He flings them damn water bottles everywhere. Saturday is going to be my only day off this week. So I'm going to enjoy that. Probably going to go to sleep and sleep a lot. I will listen to DVP radio, but I won't be streaming. Tune in next Sunday. It is Doubleheader Sunday. We're rapidly approaching the end of Doubleheader Sunday because LFG is coming to a close. But first, tune in to Sunday Night Scoops with the EVP at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then come back later on that night for the LFG Season 3, Episode 12 recap show. With that being said, once again, thank you to the 238 people that have stayed with us for 2 hours and 40 minutes for the WWE Raw Recap Show, July 6, 2026. With my co-host tonight, Kyle the Man Anthony. I am the EVP from the EVP show, and you can see it right there at the top of the screen, the Cody Rhodes, if you're watching, I am the true golden boy of DWE because you keep getting bloodied and you can't even wrestle. And DWE is the only place to be. Hopefully you guys have a good Tuesday and come back and join me tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the NXT recap show. Good night, everyone.